Chapter 112. Bai Qianxue drove while Li Chongqing sat in the passenger seat with his eyes closed. They arrived at the entrance of the hotel after about 20 minutes. The hotel wasn't far from the Bai family's villa, but Bai Qianxue wasn't good at driving. She wanted Li Chongqing to drive, but after learning that Li Chongqing didn't have a driver's license, she had to do it herself. Bai Qianxue had gotten her driver's license 2 years ago, but as the daughter of the Bai family, she had a personal chauffeur whenever she went out. The number of times she drove could be counted on one hand. Along the way, the car was shaky and had many accidents. There were a few times when she almost collided with the car next to her. Fortunately, despite the crisis, she arrived safely. However, what surprised Bai Qianxue was that Li Chongqing, who was sitting in the passenger seat, could remain calm from the beginning to the end under her driving skills that frightened even herself. I don't know if this guy is brave or brave. Bai Qianxue shook her head and parked the car in the parking lot. Then, she walked into the hotel with Li Chongqing. In the private room of the hotel, Bai Jinbin and the guests had arrived in advance. When he saw Li Chongqing coming in with Bai Qianxue, he was a little surprised, but his tone was very polite. After all, Li Chongqing had shown enough ability to earn his respect. A middle-aged man sat opposite him. Next to him was his wife and a young man, who should be his son. Bai Jinbin had obviously invited his family to dinner. When he saw Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue coming in, he immediately stood up. "Qianxue is here. Take a seat." At the same time, he glanced at Li Chongqing's face without leaving a trace and showed some doubts. Next to him, his son's eyes flashed with surprise. Few men could resist Bai Qianxue's beauty. "Qianxue, this is Mr. Zhao Xian, Uncle's business partner. This is Mrs. Zhao, and this is Mr. Zhao's son, Zhao Shimo." "Hello, Mr. Zhao." Bai Qianxue was gracious and polite. Bai Jinbin couldn't help but nod. Zhao Shimo's eyes lit up. "This is my niece, Bai Qianxue. This is Li Chongqing. Mr. Li is Bai Qianxue's friend." As soon as Bai Jinbin finished speaking, Bai Qianxue added, "He's her boyfriend." As she spoke, she took the initiative to hug Li Chongqing's arm. Zhao Shimo raised his eyebrows. Even Zhao Xian and his wife were surprised. This was because even though Li Chongqing was dressed to the nines, he was clearly not a match for Bai Qianxue. "Young man, what kind of business does your family do?" Zhao Xian asked. In his opinion, Li Chongqing's appearance was not good enough, so it was very likely that he had a powerful background. Unexpectedly, Li Chongqing smiled and said, "My family doesn't do business. We're ordinary farmers, and I'm just a student." As soon as he said this, Zhao Xian and his family all revealed strange expressions. Bai Jinbin glanced at his niece and couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. He thought to himself that his niece had really made up her mind. After the introductions, everyone sat down and the banquet officially began. The dishes were served one after another. During this period, Bai Jinbin and Zhao Xian talked about some business matters, while the others listened silently. When Bai Jinbin and Zhao Xian's discussion came to an end, Zhao Xian's wife asked about Bai Qianxue. In the end, she metaphorically pointed out that a man who could match such a beautiful girl like Bai Qianxue must be a handsome young man. Zhao Shimo finally couldn't help but say, "Miss Bai, although you have a boyfriend, I still want to pursue you. I wonder if you can give me a chance?" As soon as he said this, everyone fell silent. Zhao Xian glared at his son with some blame. However, Zhao Xian's wife smiled and seemed to be quite supportive of her son's action. Bai Jinbin didn't expect her to do this. He suddenly looked a little stunned. Bai Qianxue directly shook her head and said, "You won't have the chance." "That's a pity." Zhao Shimo looked a little embarrassed. The banquet fell into silence for a while. After a full 5 minutes, Zhao Shimo took the initiative to raise his glass. "I just made a joke. Please don't mind it. Let me toast to everyone." Bai Jinbin nodded. Even Bai Qianxue poured herself a drink and raised her glass. Li Chongqing sat there and buried his head in the food, as if he didn't hear Zhao Shimo's words. Zhao Shimo's face suddenly turned ugly. He said in a cold voice, "Mr. Li, please raise your glass." However, Li Chongqing raised his head and said lightly, "Sorry, I don't want to drink." Everyone noticed that Li Chongqing said, "I don't want to drink," instead of, "I don't know how to drink." Obviously, he didn't give face. This time, not only Zhao Shimo, but also Zhao Xian and his wife's faces turned ugly. Bai Jinbin showed a wry smile. He had already learned about Li Chongqing's temper. He and Zhao Xian had a lot of business dealings. Recently, there was a big project to cooperate with, so he specially invited the family out for dinner. Obviously, Li Chongqing's interference was going to be ruined. Zhao Xian's wife slammed the wine glass on the table and snorted coldly. "How uneducated. You don't even know the rules." Li Chongqing looked at the woman who was angry out of humiliation and said indifferently, "I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. You're talking to me about manners when you teach your son how to steal someone else's girlfriend. Don't you feel ashamed?" At that time, this woman was whispering to Zhao Shimo to stand up. Although her voice was very low, how could it escape Li Chongqing's ears? Bai Qianxue was the daughter of the Bai family. She was beautiful, and more importantly, the Bai family was influential in the Chuzhou city. If the Zhao family could get on the Bai family's good side, they would benefit a lot. As for Li Chongqing, she thought he was just an ordinary guy from the countryside. It would be easy for her son to poach him. After being exposed by Li Chongqing, the woman's face darkened. "Kid, what are you talking about? You are slandering me. Be careful." "How do you want to do that?" Li Chongqing's face was still calm. Bai Jinbin sensed the tension in the room and hurried to put in a smile. "Sister-in-law, Li Chongqing didn't mean that." "Humph." The woman was still afraid of Bai Jinbin. She picked up her purse and stormed out of the room. "I am so sorry." Zhao Xian apologized to Bai Jinbin and then chased after his wife. Seeing that his parents were gone, Zhao Shimo pointed a finger at Li Chongqing and said, "Kid, I will remember you. Show some respect to Boss Bai today, and you will regret it next time." Li Chongqing picked up a piece of food and stuffed it into his mouth. Then he said, "If you dare to point your finger at me again, I will chop off your entire hand." "Let's see." Zhao Shimo snorted and walked out of the room. Bai Qianxue and Zhao Shimo were left alone. Both of them looked helpless. Li Chongqing was not someone to be trifled with. It seemed that no one in the world could scare him. Chapter 113. The banquet ended on a sour note. However, neither Bai Jinbin nor Bai Qianxue could blame Li Chongqing for his actions. Bai Jinbin owed Li Chongqing a favor after he was rescued by Li Chongqing. Bai Qianxue knew that Li Chongqing was not her real boyfriend, and that he was risking his life by pretending to be her boyfriend. "Qianxue, are you sure you want to take him to see your fiancé? You have to consider this carefully. Once you take that step, you will not only face pressure from the Qing clan, but also the opposition from the main branch of the Bai clan. It is very likely that you will be isolated by everyone. Can you bear the consequences of this?" Bai Jinbin glanced at Li Chongqing beside him and said worriedly. It was true that Li Chongqing's martial strength was very strong, and it had indeed surprised him. However, if Li Chongqing could rely on this strength to fight against the Qing clan and the Bai clan's main bloodline, he really couldn't be optimistic. "Uncle, I have made up my mind. I will do whatever it takes." "Very well." Bai Jinbin heaved a sigh. "Since you are back in Chuzhou City, enjoy yourself for a few days. Since you are not a good driver, I will arrange a driver for you." Then, he turned to the driver and said, "Xiao Wang, you will be Miss Qianxue's personal driver for the next few days." "Okay." The driver nodded. At the same time, he sized up Li Chongqing without leaving a trace. He couldn't see what was so special about this young man who had abducted his Miss Qianxue. However, judging from his boss's attitude, he didn't seem to mind. After Bai Jinbin left, Bai Qianxue said to Li Chongqing, "In the next few days, I need to let everyone who knows me know that I have a boyfriend. They will all believe that my boyfriend is you, so you need to keep meeting some acquaintances with me. And it's very likely that some of them will look down on you. Let me ask you one last time. Do you really not regret it? You heard what my uncle said just now. No matter if it's the main branch of the Bai family or the Qing family, they are not people that ordinary people can afford to offend. To put it bluntly, they can crush an ordinary person like you as easily as crushing an ant." "Of course I won't regret it." Li Chongqing smiled. "They might not be elephants, and I might not be an ant." Bai Qianxue didn't know where this poor guy got his confidence from, but Li Chongqing's decision to keep his promise made her acknowledge Li Chongqing even more. Although this person's temper was a little weird sometimes, there was no doubt that he was better than any man she had ever met. "There will be a gathering in the circle later. Let's go together." "All right." Li Chongqing did not waste any time and followed Bai Qianxue out of the room. "I'll bring you to meet some of my best friends first, and then we'll go to the party together." Bai Qianxue finally didn't have to drive and could sit comfortably in the passenger seat. Half an hour later, the two arrived at a coffee shop. Bai Qianxue didn't say anything along the way. When they arrived at the destination, she asked the driver to wait outside and said to Li Chongqing, "Come in with me. My best friends are a little unruly and might say something unpleasant. You must be mentally prepared. Don't worry, after this incident is over, I'll make it up to you." Bai Qianxue looked at Li Chongqing, who had been resting with his eyes closed the entire time. When she thought about how Li Chongqing was going to be treated with disdain, she couldn't bear it. She wondered if she was being too selfish. "You don't have to stay with me after you go in. I'll explain to them that you don't like to interact with others." Li Chongqing nodded and followed the conflicted Bai Qianxue into the cafe. On the second floor, Bai Qianxue saw her close friends and their friends. Li Chongqing did not follow her to the second floor. Instead, he found a seat on the first floor, ordered a cup of coffee, and browsed through some magazines. Reading was a habit that Li Chongqing had developed in his long life. In ancient times, when entertainment was extremely scarce, reading was a good way to pass the time. "Qianxue, why didn't Suziheng come up with you?" one of Bai Qianxue's best friends asked. Only a few people knew about the engagement between the Bai family and the Qing family. Her best friends in the circle thought that she and Suziheng were still a couple. "I broke up with him." Surprisingly, Bai Qianxue was as calm as her heart when others mentioned the person who had once left an unforgettable impression on her. "Broke up?" The few of them were surprised. "So, our beauty Bai is single?" a girl asked with a smile. "No, I have a boyfriend." As he spoke, he pointed downstairs. Suddenly, countless eyes were focused on the young man who was sitting in the corner and reading. Everyone's face was filled with surprise. "His name is Li Chongqing, a student of Qingzhou University," Bai Qianxue introduced. She returned to the Chuzhou city this time to let everyone know that she had a boyfriend. She wanted to break off the engagement with the Qing family and make the Bai family give up on her. Therefore, introducing Li Chongqing's identity was something she would do frequently in the next few days. Bai Qianxue's friends were dumbfounded by the fact that an ordinary-looking fellow had managed to capture the heart of a goddess like Bai Qianxue. Especially when Bai Qianxue mentioned that Li Chongqing was born in a peasant family, everyone felt as if they had been struck by lightning. One of the girls even touched Bai Qianxue's forehead and asked if she had a fever. Li Chongqing did not know what was going on the second floor. After finishing a cup of coffee, he asked the waiter for another one. There were not many people in the restaurant during the day. However, the laughter on the second floor was unusually loud. He could even vaguely hear some private conversations. Just as Li Chongqing finished reading a magazine and was about to pick up another one, a fashionably dressed and beautiful woman sat across from him. She was holding a cigarette between her fingers. Her nails were painted purple, giving her a seductive look. "Young man, do you feel lonely sitting here alone?" The woman's eyes were seductive, as if she had been drinking. Her eyes were like a pool of spring water. Li Chongqing looked up at her and then took a sip of coffee. He ignored her and continued to read the magazine. The woman's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, but it quickly disappeared. Her red lips directly blew out a mouthful of smoke at Li Chongqing, and her jade-like fingers actually took the initiative to touch Li Chongqing's face. "Young man, what is your name? Let me take a good look at you." Li Chongqing could see the woman's collar from where he was sitting. Her snow-white skin could easily arouse a man's desire. Just as her hand was about to touch his cheek, he suddenly reached out and grabbed her hand. He looked up and smiled playfully. "Miss, is 300 yuan enough to cover you for a night? If it's not enough, I can add more." The woman was stunned and then became angry. She was very angry. Half of it was because he treated her like a prostitute, and the other half was because in his eyes, she was only worth 300 yuan for a night. However, when Li Chongqing let go of her hand and looked down at the magazine in his hand again, she suddenly realized that she was being teased. As a result, the anger in her heart strangely disappeared. She just stared at the man in front of her for a few seconds, then turned around and walked to the second floor. She no longer looked drunk, but the tight chong sam outlined the beautiful curves of her body, exuding a unique charm. What a seductress! Li Chongqing was not a saint who could sit still. If he was not playing the role of Bai Qianxue's boyfriend, it was not impossible to have a story with such a woman. The woman who walked to the second floor sat next to Bai Qianxue angrily. She drank a glass of orange juice and said loudly, "Qianxue, your boyfriend has guts. He even dares to tease me." Bai Qianxue just smiled. She thought that if they thought that Li Chongqing was easy to bully because he did not have any background, they would be very wrong. She thought of her family, from her cousin Bai Mingtang to her harshest second aunt, and even her uncle Bai Jinbin, who had the highest prestige in the family, had to suffer in front of him. In comparison, her best friend's skills were obviously not enough. The girls, who had already turned their attention to cosmetics, turned their attention back to Li Chongqing. Bai Qianxue looked at the young man who was quietly reading the magazine downstairs and suddenly sighed. "This guy seems to have never been taken advantage of since I met him. If I really let him be my boyfriend," she was shocked by her own idea. However, once a certain idea was born, it would linger in her mind. For a moment, Bai Qianxue was a little upset. Chapter 114. By the time Li Chongqing finished his third cup of coffee and the sixth magazine. Finally, Bai Qianxue and her friends came down from the second floor. "Let's go to the Jiangnan clubhouse." Bai Qianxue walked up to Li Chongqing and hooked her arm around his. This scene dispelled the last bit of doubt in the hearts of Bai Qianxue's friends. When they arrived at the Jiangnan clubhouse, there were already a lot of people waiting for them. As soon as the group of girls showed up, they attracted everyone's attention. Li Chongqing, who was standing in the crowd, was like a speck of green in a field of flowers, causing everyone to be surprised. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when they saw Bai Qianxue hooking her arm around Qin Fan's arm. "Li Chongqing, it's you." A surprised voice came up from the crowd. It was Han Dong in a suit. Li Chongqing had never thought that they would run into each other here. It wasn't easy to run into an acquaintance in a strange place like the Chuzhou city. When Han Dong saw Bai Qianxue standing next to Li Chongqing, his face was filled with confusion. Before Han Dong could ask, Bai Qianxue extended her hand. "Nice to meet you, I am Chongqing's girlfriend. My name is Bai Qianxue." "Nice to meet you, Han Dong." Han Dong was dumbfounded. Li Chongqing having a youthful Yu Wei was already enough to surprise him. Now it was revealed that Bai Qianxue was also his girlfriend. This guy really hid his strength well. Han Dong's mind raced. He didn't know Bai Qianxue, but he had heard a lot about her before he came to the Jiangnan clubhouse. She was the heiress of the Bai family and was a well-known figure in the Chuzhou city. Is he really the heir of a hidden family? Otherwise, how could he win the heart of the heiress of the Bai family? With that thought in mind, Han Dong looked at Li Changxing in a different light. Li Changxing and Bai Qianxue walked into the clubhouse hand in hand. Han Dong stood there with mixed feelings. Many people who knew Bai Qianxue were in an uproar. Bai Qianxue was like a princess in their circle, but now she was being pursued by such an ordinary-looking guy. Hasn't Bai Qianxue been dating Su Ziheng? Did she break up with Su Ziheng and find so many men? I heard that the Bai family wanted to betroth Bai Qianxue to the young master of the Qing family. The young master of the Qing family is a playboy, so Bai Qianxue definitely didn't agree. However, the Qing family is too powerful, so Su Ziheng didn't dare to fight over a woman with the young master of the Qing family. So the two of them fell out. I didn't expect that after such a short time, Bai Qianxue actually found another boyfriend. It seems like she has made up her mind not to marry the young master of the Qing family. There's such a thing? I don't know who this man is, but the young master of the Qing family definitely won't let this go. Maybe something big is going to happen. The hall was abuzz with discussion. At this time, Zhao Shumo, who had been sitting in the corner, stood up. What kind of background does this kid have? He's just a poor kid from the countryside. Bai Qianxue is probably just playing with him. Everyone looked at Zhao Shumo in confusion. Is that really the case? Someone asked. They weren't sure if it was true or not. After all, how could the young master of the Bai family, Bai Qianxue, choose a poor kid from the countryside? Everyone's eyes were filled with doubt. Bai Qianxue didn't seem to be faking it when she walked in with Li Changxing's arm. Now, when they heard Zhao Shumo's words, they were all skeptical and found it unbelievable. Han Dong, you know Li Changxing just now. Zhao Shumo said that he's just a kid from the countryside. Is that true? Someone asked Han Dong for confirmation. I don't know. Han Dong shook his head. From Li Changxing's appearance, as well as the information that Jiang Tao and the others had described, Li Changxing was indeed just a kid from an ordinary family. However, he was able to have Yu Wei and Bai Qianxue, two peerless beauties, by his side, and was able to show a calm side in the face of danger. Han Dong, who always prided himself on being a good judge of character, couldn't see through Li Changxing. Didn't you already know him in advance? How could you not know? The man thought that Han Dong was being perfunctory, so he was a bit angry. He is just a poor kid, Han Dong finally said. When Jiang Tao said that Li Changxing came from an ordinary family, Han Dong was a bit skeptical. Now that Zhao Shumo had said the same thing, Han Dong assumed that it was true. He really is just a poor kid. Many people in the hall widened their eyes, their eyeballs almost falling out of their sockets. A poor kid can hook up with the lady of the Bai family? This is a classic example of a toad eating a swan's meat. I thought it was a TV series. It's so melodramatic. A rich second generation said sourly. Why would Bai Qianxue fall in love with such an ordinary guy? Even if he doesn't come from a rich family, he is still handsome. But look at him, he has neither a head nor a face. He is just an eyesore. Impressive. A man in glasses exclaimed. No one knew whether he was impressed or jealous. As everyone arrived, the banquet officially began. The host of the banquet was a rich second generation in the Chuzhou city. His family was in the advertising business and had connections with many companies. Li Changxing, who had toured the hall with Bai Qianxue, came out again. Many people greeted Bai Qianxue. Suddenly, Zhao Shumo stepped forward and blocked Li Changxing's way. Kid, you should have settled the score at the restaurant, Zhao Shumo said with a gloomy face. Behind him, a bulky bodyguard clenched his fist. The reason why he didn't step forward when Li Changxing came in was because Li Changxing looked thin and weak. However, He didn't want to take the risk, so he sent a text message to his driver and bodyguard. Now that his bodyguard was standing beside him, he was emboldened. He wanted to teach Li Chongqing a lesson. "What is going on?" the host of the banquet, the rich second generation, asked. Zhao Shimo was a powerful figure in the Chuzhou city, so the host didn't dare to offend him. Otherwise, he would have already lost his temper. "You have no idea how despicable this guy is." Zhao Shimo told them about what had happened in the restaurant. The rich second generation, called young Master Jun, looked Li Chongqing up and down a few times. He didn't think that a poor guy like him would dare to provoke Zhao Shimo. "That's enough, Zhao Shimo. Li Chongqing is Qianxue's boyfriend. Do you want to make everyone unhappy?" Tao Jie, the coquettish girl who tried to test Li Chongqing at the coffee shop, said. "Fine. Today is young Master Jun's birthday party, so I won't spoil everyone's mood." Zhao Shimo snorted and gave Li Chongqing a hard stare. "I will let you off the hook one more time, but you won't be so lucky next time." Thus, the conflict was resolved. However, everyone looked at Li Chongqing with a strange expression. Zhao Shimo was known for his vengeance. If Li Chongqing really had a powerful background, then he wouldn't mind. However, if he was just a poor kid, then he would be in trouble. Even Han Dong couldn't help but shake his head. Zhao Shimo jumped out, but Li Chongqing didn't say a word. In Zhao Shimo's eyes, this was a sign of cowardice. He really is just a poor kid. There is no value in trying to win him over. For a moment, Han Dong, who had planned to go up and talk to Li Chongqing to get closer to him, stood still and did not move. Bai Qianxue looked at Li Chongqing apologetically and said, "I am sorry for what happened to you." Indeed, for a poor boy to break into the upper-class circle of Chuzhou City, it was like an ugly duckling appearing in a flock of white swans. It was normal for him to be ridiculed, ostracized, and unwelcomed. However, this kind of normal was unfair to the ugly duckling. Originally, Li Chongqing didn't need to endure these looks. It could be said that it was all for Bai Qianxue. "It's okay." Li Chongqing let out an indifferent smile. To him, these people were just a bunch of flies. If he wanted to, he could kill them all with a single slap. However, this state of mind was not something that ordinary people could understand. At the very least, in Bai Qianxue's eyes, it was a forced smile. She could not help but feel guilty. Chapter 115. The reason why I invited you all to this party is because I need your help with something. As the host of the party, everyone quieted down as soon as young Lord Jun spoke. "I have recently opened a jewelry company. If any of you have any friends or relatives that need jewelry, please refer them to my company." "Okay, since young Lord Jun has said so, we will definitely go to your company," a rich second generation said loudly. "The jewelry must be of high quality. If it's not good enough, I won't buy it." Zhao Shimo said jokingly. "Don't worry, young Lord Zhao, I wouldn't dare to fool you with inferior goods unless I don't want to live in the Chuzhou city anymore." Ha ha! Everyone started to make fun of him. Some people who didn't know each other before introduced themselves to each other. No matter which social circle they were in, the most important thing about networking was support. Even Bai Qianxue was dragged away by a few of her close friends to talk about some female topic. Only Li Chongqing was left standing there, unattended. A poor kid like him was not popular, not to mention that he had offended Zhao Shimo. No one wanted to get too close to him. Han Dong hesitated for a second and then shook his head. "This is not your circle. You will only embarrass yourself if you join it." After he said that, he turned around and walked toward Zhao Shimo. Other than Bai Qianxue, Zhao Shimo was the most powerful person in the family. No matter where he went, there would be a hierarchy. Even in the circle of rich second-generation heirs, Han Dong was a peripheral figure, while Zhao Shimo was the core. Tao Jie, who was Bai Qianxue's best friend, had a high status in the circle as well. Since she was single, many men tried to get close to her. Coupled with the fact that Bai Qianxue and the other beauties were gathered together, even Zhao Shumo and his friends were attracted to them. Tao Jie, have you heard that Yang Liuji, the leader of the Chuzhou City underworld, was killed in Qingzhou City a while ago? One of the girls suddenly spoke. The Tao family has a certain amount of influence in the underworld, so you must know more about it. Tao Jie cracked a smile and said, I am just a girl, so I don't really care about the underworld. But I heard from my dad that Yang Ren's 6th finger was chopped off. Really? Everyone around, regardless of gender, became interested. Yang Liuji, Yang Ren, had dominated the Chuzhou city for so many years that he was no different from a local tyrant. However, his fingers had been chopped off. The incident had happened not long ago, and the news had not spread yet. In addition, it was not something honorable, and Yang Ren had deliberately kept it a secret, so most people did not know. Zhao Shumo suddenly walked over and said, Our family has some business dealings with Master Yang. I know some details. I heard that he fell into the hands of a young man called Mr. Li. It can't be. How capable can a young man be? Even Yang Ren is no match for him. Even young Master Jun was astonished. The surrounding people all looked curious. Gossip has always been human nature. That Mr. Li is amazing. It is said that his backer is Heavenly King Su Xiaolin, one of the 2 big mountains in the north. Zhao Shumo said with a hint of bragging. After all, this kind of insider information wasn't available to ordinary people. This also showed how extensive his family's connections were. No wonder. So it's Su Xiaolin. Let alone 1 Yang 6 fingers, even 10 Yang 6 fingers wouldn't dare to offend Su Xiaolin. Young Master Jun lamented. I heard that Yang 6 fingers is a powerful man. When he rose to power, he had schemed against many tycoons who were more powerful than him. This time, he lost one of his fingers. Doesn't he want to avenge himself? A girl asked curiously. Su Xiaolin was too far away for her, but Yang 6 fingers' power had made her realize more. Compared to Su Xiaolin, Yang 6 fingers is like an ant compared to an elephant. No matter how powerful Yang 6 fingers is, what can he do? Zhao Shumo cracked a smile. At the same time, his eyes were filled with envy. If he could have a relationship with Su Xiaolin, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the Chuzhou city. Li Chongqing didn't listen to their conversation. Instead, he sat there and tasted his red wine. He was like a mudslide that had rushed into a clear lake, out of place. At the banquet, the men chatted about business, cars and beautiful women, while the women chatted about skincare, makeup, branded bags, and jewelry. Li Chongqing was bored, so he sent a text message to Yu Wei. Yu Wei told him that she had returned home and was scolded by her parents. They told her not to stay at her friends' houses. She asked Li Chongqing if her parents had found out something, but Li Chongqing didn't reply. In fact, when he called Yu Wei and asked her to come to the Chuzhou city, he had already expected this. Yu Wei's parents were born in the countryside. They seemed to be honest, but they were also smart. After 20 minutes, Yu Wei still didn't get a reply from Li Chongqing, so she sent another voice message. Are you still there? Li Chongqing replied with a smiley face. Yu Wei's gentleness could melt any man's heart. She was considerate, kind, didn't throw a tantrum, and was very understanding. Are you regretting coming to the Chuzhou city with me? Li Chongqing quickly typed a string of words and sent it over. A few seconds later, a video call request came in. Yu Wei was hiding in the corner of the bedroom. She whispered to Chun Fan, I don't regret anything I do for you. Chun Fan could hear the sound of the TV outside. Apparently, her parents were at home, and she didn't want them to hear her video call with Li Chongqing. Silly girl. Li Chongqing's heart was warmed by the girl's words. A flirtatious woman who had drunk some red wine and was about to go to the bathroom passed by. When she saw the woman's picture on the screen, she shouted, How dare you flirt with another girl behind Bai Qianxue's back? She caught a glimpse of the woman's face, which was as beautiful as Bai Qianshue's. Her anger was immediately replaced by anger. Bai Qianxue was a rich heiress, and she was under a lot of pressure to be his boyfriend. How dare this guy cheat on her? She couldn't stand it. Many people were attracted by the flirtatious woman, Tao Jie's voice. Bai Qianxue walked over. After hearing Tao Jie's story, many people thought that Bai Qianxue was going to throw a tantrum and slap this ungrateful man in the face. However, Bai Qianxue only cracked a smile. How is that possible? I believe in Chongqing. Tao Jie was rendered speechless by Chen Fan's words. This made the people who wanted to watch a good show sigh one after another. That is Chongqing's sister. Bai Qianxue said again. Everyone finally understood. No wonder Bai Qianxue wasn't angry. Han Dong, on the other hand, widened his eyes. He knew very well that Yu Wei was Li Chongqing's girlfriend and definitely not his younger sister. What was going on? Chapter 116. After such an episode, everyone finally remembered Li Chongqing, who was sitting in the corner. The flirtatious woman glared at Li Chongqing. She clearly saw Li Chongqing flirting with the girl in the video. However, since Bai Qianxue explained it like that, if she said anything else, it would be like the emperor was not worried. Since the show was not going to start, everyone dispersed and did their own things. Bai Qianxue pointed at the red wine on the table and asked Li Chongqing, "What do you think of the taste?" Li Chongqing shook his head. "It's SOSO. You have a girlfriend?" When Bai Qianxue asked this question, her heart suddenly jumped. She felt nervous for no reason. Yeah. Li Chongqing nodded. At that moment, Bai Qianxue's eyes flashed with an imperceptible disappointment. "They're going to the bar later. Do you want to come with me?" Bai Qianxue looked at Li Chongqing. Just now, she had only been talking with her close friends and had neglected Li Chongqing. She felt quite guilty. Li Chongqing was not liked in this kind of situation. If she insisted on taking Li Chongqing to the bar, she would be too selfish. "Go. Since we're going to put on a show, we have to go all the way." Li Chongqing smiled. Bai Qianxue did not say anything else. She handed her bag to Li Chongqing. "Can you help me with my bag? It's quite heavy." Her tone was rare and gentle, with a hint of coquettishness. Li Chongqing was stunned. An hour later, a group of people rushed to a bar called Moonlight. It was already dark. The neon lights on the bar's signboard kept flashing. The moment they stepped into the bar, the loud music and the dazzling lights made them feel like they had entered a different world. However, everyone soon blended into the atmosphere. The sound of thump-thump from the stereo was like the rhythm of people's heartbeat. The group of people sat down in the innermost seat. None of them lacked money. Young Master Jun waved his hand and asked the waiter to bring the good wine. They were all rich second-generation heirs from Chuzhou City, and they were used to spending money like crazy. Therefore, Li Chongqing didn't have to worry about money. The table was full of red wine from Chateau Lafite and all kinds of brands that Li Chongqing had never seen before. The bar manager also recognized the group of rich second-generation heirs of Chuzhou City, so he gave them a bottle of vintage red wine and said it was free of charge. On the stage, a well-known DJ band was singing an English song, which Li Chongqing couldn't understand. Han Dong, who was sitting not far from Li Chongqing, casually said, "This is the bar that Shang Jianping said his friend opened." Li Chongqing couldn't help but sigh. What a coincidence! This bar is one of the more famous bars in Chuzhou City. It's not only famous for its unique decor, but also for its beautiful girls. Bai Qianxue seemed to want to take care of Li Chongqing. She had been sitting beside Li Chongqing ever since she arrived at the bar. Li Chongqing raised his head and looked over. Sure enough, there were a few tall and slender foreign beauties and a few typical Eastern faces. The combination of Eastern and Western, their looks could indeed be considered top-notch. The people around them also stood up from time to time to propose a toast to Chen Fan. However, Li Chongqing had already been deemed as a poor boy who climbed up the social ladder, so he was automatically ignored. Li Chongqing didn't mind it, but Bai Qianxue furrowed her brows. "Let's go to the dance floor," a girl suggested. Everyone left their seat. "Why don't you go?" Li Chongqing looked at Bai Qianxue. "Do you want to come with me?" Bai Qianxue suddenly asked. Her face was a bit red, but it wasn't obvious in the dim light. Alcohol had always contributed to human reproduction. After drinking some red wine, Bai Qianxue seemed to have become a lot braver. "I don't know how to dance." Li Chongqing cracked a smile. Bai Qianxue didn't say anything. She put her bag on Li Chongqing's lap and stood up. However, she didn't walk to the dance floor. Instead, she walked around the dance floor and said something to the lead singer of the DJ band. The music in the room suddenly stopped. Even as everyone was wondering what had happened, a girl in a white dress stood in front of the lead singer. Her face was as cold as a snow lotus. Under the light, one could see her blushing cheek. Many people who knew Bai Qianxue noticed that Bai Qianxue looked a bit different today. She adjusted the microphone in front of her and sat on the high swivel chair. She gently brushed her hair away from her eyes, revealing a face that could cause the downfall of a city. "There's a beauty in the north. With a glance, she could cause the downfall of a city. With another glance, she could cause the downfall of a country." At this moment, Li Chongqing thought of this poem for no reason. The noise in the bar quieted down. She sang Fei Wang's Red Bean. "Maybe you'll stay with me and watch the river flow," the soft voice repeated in a low voice. The strings of time were plucked, touching the softest part of everyone's heart. The girl with a sad face didn't speak loudly, but she easily took people into her memories. After the song, the whole room was silent. Even when the girl disappeared from the stage, many people were still immersed in their emotions. Everyone had been young, had been moved, and had been in love for the first time. When they first listened to this song, they were ignorant teenagers who didn't understand the meaning. When they listened to it again, they became the people in the song. Time was merciless. It took away all traces. The memories left only sadness. Li Chongqing stared blankly at the woman walking towards him. There was an indescribable feeling in his heart. He only felt a sudden heartache and pity. It was as if he had truly known this girl at this moment. The first time they met, she was as cold as a snow lotus on an iceberg. He stood in front of her and asked her to be his girlfriend. He didn't expect her to agree so readily. It was just a deal. Each of them took what they needed. It allowed the two people who didn't know each other to have an intersection just like that. Outside the bar, she stood by the road and cried silently. She was like an injured kitten licking her wounds in an empty corner. In the KTV, she acted as Li Chongqing's girlfriend in a fit of pique and release. She was so drunk that she staggered and sang hysterically. No one knew what she had endured. At old Master Bai's birthday party, her persistence and sharpness, her thick body and her stubborn disguise. At this moment, Li Chongqing finally understood that no matter how strong she was still a delicate woman who needed to be protected, doted on, and relied on. And he had unknowingly become her reliance. But this was just a deal after all. He had Yu Yue. What should she do? Chapter 117. Sorry, I lost my composure. Bai Qianxue walked to Li Chongqing's side and sat down. She smiled and returned to her cold and aloof appearance. She didn't know why, but when she heard Li Chongqing say, "I have a girlfriend," she suddenly felt like her heart was being pressed by a huge rock and she couldn't breathe. "You sing very well." Li Chongqing smiled and there was a rare gentleness in his tone. "Don't worry. With me here, no one can hurt you." Looking at Li Chongqing's confident eyes, Bai Qianxue was a little touched, but she still shook her head and said, "Whether it is the Bai family or the Chun family, their power is beyond your imagination." Li Chongqing didn't answer. He took a sip of the Sprite on the table and sighed. When I drank Sprite for the first time, I always felt like there were countless fleas jumping in my mouth. I thought it was not as good as sugar water, but after drinking it for a long time, I realized it was a different taste. Li Chongqing handed Bai Qianxue a bottle. Do you want to try it too? Disgusting. Bai Qianxue rolled her eyes at Li Chongqing, but she still took the Sprite and clinked it with Li Chongqing's. Then, she elegantly took a sip. Beauty, even the way you drink, is so beautiful. Li Chongqing, who had always been a man of few words, made a rare joke today. Don't flatter me. Bai Qianxue snorted. But it was obvious that her eyes were glowing like the sun in spring. It was so bright that it was dazzling. The later it was, the livelier the bar became. In the end, almost everyone went to the dance floor to dance. Bai Qianxue was pestered by a few of her best friends, and they pulled her aside to whisper. Li Chongqing was holding a glass of Sprite in his hand when he suddenly felt a pat on his shoulder. He turned around and saw a cold-looking young man in a suit. He said coldly, "Someone is looking for you over there." It was obvious that this man was not here to play. His meticulous appearance, especially the fierce aura in his eyes, should be similar to a bodyguard or thug. This kind of person had a strong aura, and just by standing there, the voices of the rich second generations around them stopped abruptly. "Why should I go with you?" Li Chongqing smiled faintly. If the other party asked him to go over, he would go over. He wasn't a free rider who could be summoned at any time. A few rich second-generation heirs who had a good relationship with Zhao Shumo had gloating expressions on their faces. Obviously, they didn't come with good intentions. The man didn't seem to have expected Li Chongqing to say such words. He was stunned for a moment before his eyes turned cold. At this time, another young man came over and said, "We are Brother Leopard's people. Brother Leopard wants to invite you over for a drink." As he spoke, he pointed to a spot not too far away. Following the other party's line of sight, there was a bald man in his 30s sitting there. There was a leopard tattooed on his neck. "All right." Li Chongqing nodded. Walking in front of the table, a fat guy suddenly stood up and grabbed a bottle of wine. Li Chongqing recognized him as one of the companions of the man who wanted to take advantage of Yu Yue at the hotel yesterday. At this moment, Li Chongqing knew why the other party was looking for him. "Little Su, sit down," the brawny man with the leopard tattoo said coldly. The chubby guy glared fiercely at Li Chongqing, then sat down indignantly. The bald man pointed to the seat next to him and motioned for Li Chongqing to sit down and talk. Looking at his aura, Li Chongqing knew that he should be the brother leopard that they were talking about. "No need. If you have something to say, just say it. I don't know you well, and I don't like to make friends with strangers." As soon as he said that, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became heavy. Countless murderous gazes shrouded Li Chongqing. Brother Leopard was also stunned. Then, he raised his eyebrows and showed some coldness. At this time, several of his subordinates stood up and stared at Li Chongqing covetously. Li Chongqing just looked at Brother Leopard quietly. He didn't say anything and his face was expressionless. The atmosphere was a bit oppressive. As time passed by, Brother Leopard's subordinates couldn't help but want to take action. Suddenly, Brother Leopard laughed. "Young man, you have quite a personality. I like your personality. Ah Huang always likes to cause trouble for me. I have long wanted to teach him a lesson. My name is Chun Bao. People call me Brother Leopard. Drink a glass of wine and make friends. Then, you and Ah Huang's grudge will be written off." Brother Leopard took the initiative to pour a glass of red wine. Li Chongqing naturally understood that the Ah Huang he was talking about was the one who wanted to take advantage of Yu Yue. In these two fights, he had helped Yu Yue vent her anger. As for this Brother Leopard, although he was a nobody, Li Chongqing was not someone who liked to cause trouble. Since the other party had said so, he also picked up the wine cup and drained it in one gulp. Then, he placed it on the table and turned around to return to his seat. Several rich second generations who were waiting to watch a good show in the distance were disappointed when they saw Li Chongqing come back safe and sound. Han Dong's expression was complicated. After Li Chongqing left, he investigated the identity of those greasy fat men and knew that their backer was Brother Leopard. He also heard some of Brother Leopard's deeds. He was definitely not a kind person. He originally thought that Li Chongqing wouldn't be able to get away so easily, but the result was beyond his expectations. After Li Chongqing left, the fat man said indignantly, "Brother Leopard, you let him go so easily?" One of the men next to him also said, "This guy is too arrogant. If Brother Leopard just said the word, I would have crippled him." This young man was only in his 20s. He was tall and thin, but his eyes were filled with ferocity. He was one of Brother Leopard's most capable fighters. He was famous for being ruthless, vicious, and merciless in his attacks. "It's easy to make enemies. Why do you want to cause trouble for yourself?" Brother Leopard said faintly. "Trouble? He's not worthy. I don't see anything special about this guy. Skinny man, you're good at everything, but you're too arrogant and your eyes aren't sharp enough. How can a guy who single-handedly took down Ah Huang and more than 30 people be an ordinary person?" When facing us, his face didn't change at all. This calmness can't be fake. Most importantly, did you see the woman sitting next to him just now? That's Bai Jinbin's niece, Bai Qianxue. Hearing the name, Bai Jinbin, Brother Leopard's men's faces changed color. As the leader of the Bai family in Chuzhou City, Bai Jinbin was a figure that many people feared. Even Chen Bao's influence paled in comparison. However, the skinny man clenched his fists and said, "I still want to meet him." Chapter 118. Do you know Brother Bao? Bai Qianxue asked curiously when she saw Li Chongqing clinking his glass with Brother Bao. "I don't know him. A small fry like him is not worthy of being my friend." "Tsk, you're bragging again." Bai Qianxue stuck out her tongue. She didn't realize that in front of Li Chongqing, it was easy for her to drop her disguise. Seeing Bai Qianxue and Li Chongqing flirting with each other, many of Bai Qianxue's friends sighed. It seems like this snow lotus in the circle has completely fallen. However, they really couldn't figure out where this mediocre guy's charm came from. At 1 o'clock in the morning, the craziest time of the bar was nearing its end. Bai Qianxue had already picked up her bag and was ready to leave. It was already so late and she was also a little tired. At this moment, there was a commotion in the middle of the dance floor, followed by a scream. Bai Qianxue said in surprise, "It seems to be Tao Jie and the others." Tao Jie was the name of the enchanting woman. Men who were drunk were already at their most hormonal state. Coupled with Tao Jie's enchanting appearance, a drunk man took advantage of the crowd and reached out his hand to Tao Jie. Tao Jie angrily slapped him in the face. The man was awakened by the slap. He was in the wrong and was about to leave. However, Zhao Shumo, Jun Xiao, and the others wanted to show off in front of the beautiful woman, so they went over and stomped on the guy. This drunk man's identity was not simple. He was the younger brother of one of the more famous gangsters on the street. Coincidentally, his elder brother was also there. Therefore, the gangsters who noticed the situation here rushed over. Jun Xiao and Zhao Shumo, the rich second generation, could bully people who didn't dare to fight back. However, when it came to fighting, they were no match for these gangsters. In particular, one of the rich second generation was smashed on the head by a wine bottle. Zhao Shumo and the others were completely defeated and were chased around. The surrounding people automatically cleared out a space and watched with great interest. Those who chose to come here to play were all people who had some darkness in their bones. Bloody fights could actually stimulate their blood to boil. Originally, Li Chongqing was happy to see Zhao Shumo and the others being beaten up. He even wanted to cheer on the spot. However, Zhao Shumo panicked and ran to Li Chongqing. He hid behind Bai Qianxue and said loudly, "Her uncle is Bai Jinbin." The name, Bai Jinbin, was famous in the Chuzhou city's upper-class society. However, because Bai Jinbin's status was too high, these hoodlums had never heard of him. They were completely indifferent to Zhao Shimo's words. There was even one guy who was lustful when he saw Bai Qianxue. He said, "This girl is not bad. She's mine tonight." Just as Bai Qianxue was panicking and not knowing what to do, a figure suddenly stood out and pulled her behind him. He looked at the burly men and said, "This is my woman. You'd better show some respect." As soon as he finished speaking, many people were stunned. This man has guts. Even the rich second generation who disliked Li Chongqing from the beginning to the end couldn't help but admire Li Chongqing's courage. Of course, although they were impressed, they didn't think that this skinny guy would be able to save the damsel in distress. After all, Li Chongqing's size was not proportional to his opponent's. Han Dong's face was a bit complicated. He knew Li Chongqing's power better than anyone else. Although these brawny men were fierce, they were no match for Li Chongqing. Bai Qianxue, who was pulled behind Li Chongqing, was surprised by the development. The man who was standing in front of her made her feel very safe. A woman might not fall in love with a man who often gave her flowers and presents, but she would definitely fall in love with a man who stood in front of her to protect her in times of crisis. Even though this man might not be able to protect her, she was not sure if he could do it. Brother Bao's face was filled with amusement. The tall and skinny guy next to him stared at the field and muttered, "I'd like to see what's so great about this young man." The gangsters, who were stunned by Li Chongqing's words, finally reacted. One of them, who was 1.8 meters tall, pointed at Li Chongqing's nose and shouted, "Get lost." What responded to him was a beer bottle that fell from the sky. Bang! The bottle broke on his forehead, and the alcohol mixed with blood flowed down. The brawny man's body shook twice, and then he fell straight to the ground. Only then did the crowd see Li Chongqing, who was holding half of a beer shard in his hand. "Man enough." Brother Bao spat out these 3 words. It was also what the crowd was thinking at the moment. Shocked by Li Chongqing's means, the remaining gangsters looked at each other. It took them a few seconds to react. There was a guy who had just rushed up, but his raised fist stopped in midair. That was because the sharp shards of the wine bottle were pressed against his chin, and there was a cold gleam on it. If he hadn't stopped in time, the beer shard would have pierced his throat if he had taken half a step forward. Swish! Cold sweat flowed down uncontrollably. The fierce eyes of the man in front of him made him have no doubt that if he dared to move, the man would really make him bleed on the spot. The crowd was also dumbfounded on the spot. "Do you want to die or live?" Li Chongqing said coldly. The brawny man was so scared that his legs were trembling. "Get lost if you want to live." The beer bottle was taken back. Facing the skinny Li Chongqing, no one dared to rush up again. Li Chongqing used the courage of Zhao Zilong in the Chongban slope to open a bloody path for a broken beer bottle. In the end, the hooligans who had been overflowing with arrogance just a moment ago obediently fled while supporting the brawny men on the ground. Li Chongqing ignored the complicated looks of the crowd and said to Bai Qianxue, "Let's go. I will take you home." The word home seemed to have touched something. Bai Qianxue's face was covered with tears. Li Chongqing didn't stop or comfort her, but his eyes were filled with pity and tenderness. A girl was under great pressure to fight for her own happiness, but she had to fight against her beloved family. Everyone knew that she was the daughter of the Bai family, the niece of Bai Jinbin, but no one knew how heavy the burden was. Bai Qianxue didn't know why she was so emotional and fragile today. Maybe it was because she had suppressed her feelings for too long, or maybe it was because of the man in front of her. "Okay, let's go home." Bai Qianxue wiped her tears and smiled. She took the initiative to put her arm around Li Chongqing's shoulder. At this moment, as they watched the two of them leave, many of the rich girls who had looked down on Li Chongqing suddenly seemed to understand Bai Qianxue's choice. Every kind of sacrifice would lead to a gain. Chapter 119. Over the next few days, Li Chongxing followed Bai Qianxue around to meet her friends. Occasionally, they would show off their love in front of everyone. Even though many people were skeptical, they had to accept the fact that the princess had chosen a coachman after seeing Li Chongxing and Bai Qianxue as a couple. Therefore, a young man who claimed to be from a rural area broke into the upper-class society of Chuzhou City in this unique way and gradually attracted the attention of many people behind the scenes. One day, Bai Qianxue went shopping with her best friend. Li Chongxing didn't accompany her. The effect of the promotion had been achieved. What Li Chongxing needed to do next was to accompany her to face the coming storm. Before a storm, there was always a thunder warning. As a matter of fact, Li Chongxing, who was lying on a rocking chair in the courtyard and reading a book, received an uninvited guest. It was a middle-aged man in a tang suit. He had Buddhist prayer beads around his neck, but his face was not as kind as the Buddha's. Without a doubt, this was a very dignified person. He got out of a Maybach, and 2 professional and cold bodyguards stood guard at the door under his signal. "You are Li Chongxing?" the man asked. He didn't show any disdain because of Li Chongxing's appearance. From beginning to end, his face was like a pool of calm lake water. Without a doubt, this was a man who did not show his emotions on his face and cultivated his body and mind to the extreme. This kind of person's shrewdness had reached a certain level. He had already reached the realm of being unmoved by the 8 winds. Even if there was a sudden thunder in his chest, his face would still be as calm as a lake. No one could underestimate him. Even Li Chongxing raised his head and put on a serious face. He gestured for the man to take a seat. The man sat down on a rattan chair across from him. The tea on the table was cold, but Li Chongxing didn't pour him any tea. The man didn't care about these details. He sized up Li Chongxing for a few seconds and then said with a calm but dignified voice, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Bai Jiaxing. I am the family lord of the Bai family in Chuzhou City. I am also Bai Qianxue's distant uncle. I am here today to tell you one thing. I hope you can leave Bai Qianxue." Li Chongxing didn't expect the man to be so direct. He looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and then reached out his hand. "What do you mean?" Bai Jiaxing was taken aback. "Money. Isn't it always shown on TV that you throw away tens of millions as a breakup fee?" Bai Jiaxing's face was filled with shock. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. 1 million. I can give you a check if you really want it." Bai Jiaxing's face relaxed. To him, anything that could be solved with money was not a problem at all. "Hee, I was just kidding." Li Chongxing shook his head. "I just felt that talking to you was too depressing, so I wanted to lighten the mood." So, you think it's too little?" Bai Jiaxing furrowed his brows. No. Li Chongxing waved his hand. 1 million is a lot, but I still want to say something. Money can buy everything, but it can't buy true love. Bai Jiaxing finally started to take the young man in front of him seriously. He shook his head and said, "I know who you are. You are just a poor boy from the countryside. I don't look down on you. Many heroes come from the countryside." Bai Jiaxing slowly opened his mouth, neither warm nor angry. He looked at Li Chongxing's face as he spoke. However, he couldn't get any information from Li Chongxing's face. This surprised him a bit. He could be said to have seen countless people, but there were very few who could do this at Li Chongxing's age. Putting aside his previous prejudices, he could indeed be called an outstanding youth, although he didn't have any family background and his appearance was very ordinary. "What a shame!" Bai Jiaxing shook his head and continued. "Bai Qianxue represents the interests of the Bai clan. If she marries the Qing clan, the Bai clan will rise to the next level in 20 years. If I choose you, even if you are a piece of beautiful jade, a dark horse, you may not be able to grow in 20 years. Even if you can grow, even if I am willing to wait, the elders of the Bai clan will not be willing to. Therefore, you must leave Bai Qianxue." Don't be in a hurry to refuse, because if you refuse, your life will be in danger. I am not threatening you. The Bai family is not someone you can mess with. Although Bai Jiaxing's rhythm was disrupted by Li Chongqing at the beginning, at this moment, he regained his calm appearance, as if he had the whole situation under his control. Li Chongqing chuckled and shook his head. He poured away the cold tea and brewed a new pot of tea. He poured himself a cup and drank it. From the beginning to the end, he didn't intend to pour a cup for the powerful Bai family in front of him. He placed the finished teacup on the table, then leaned back on the rattan chair and gently shook his legs. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the dignified middle-aged man in front of him. He said, "Maybe you think that I can't afford to offend the Bai family, but the Bai family is nothing in my eyes." Even Bai Jiaxing, who had a faint smile on his face, suddenly changed his expression. There was anger in his eyes. The two bodyguards at the door took a step forward at the same time. A cold aura pressed down on Li Chongqing. These two were definitely masters. Moreover, the murderous aura in their eyes indicated that they were people whose hands were stained with blood. This kind of person was not comparable to those street thugs who liked to fight. Li Chongqing had no doubt that as long as Bai Jiaxing said a word, these two guys would pull the trigger on his head without batting an eyelid. However, Bai Jiaxing raised his hand to stop his men's action. He just sneered. "Young man, you really don't know how to appreciate kindness. You will regret your words. Take care." Li Chongqing said lazily. From the beginning to the end, he didn't put the Bai family in his eyes. Bai Jiaxing got up and left. When the Maybach disappeared at the end of the road, Li Chongqing curled his lips in disdain. A local rich man who flaunts his power in the city, pretending to be deep in front of me, but because of a few words, he showed his true colors. His martial arts skills are not good enough. No wonder Li Chongqing said so. In the long river of time, he had seen many nobles. In ancient times, a force like the Bai family was at best a local rich man. How could they be put in Li Chongqing's eyes? Li Chongqing said that the Bai family was nothing but a fart. In fact, it was not an insult. If Bai Jiaxing knew that even Song Taizu, who said, "I will be in charge of war all my life, no need for others to say more," was pointed to the nose by Li Chongqing and called a martial artist, perhaps Bai Jiaxing could accept this evaluation of nothing but a fart. In the end, Li Chongqing was just a country bumpkin in Bai Jiaxing's eyes. Poverty was the original sin. Chapter 120. Today, Bai Qianxue wore a cyan cheongsam and a pair of white high heels. She stood tall and graceful, adding a bit of elegance to her aloofness. When Li Chongqing saw her again, he thought of the words blue and white porcelain. Every time he saw Bai Qianxue, she was dressed in white. Today, she had changed into a green qipao. Li Chongqing's eyes immediately lit up. The tight-fitting satin accentuated her perfect figure. "You look like a mountain peak." Li Chongqing mumbled under his breath. Bai Qianxue seemed to be very satisfied with Li Chongqing's reaction. "These are the clothes I bought for you. I'm sure you will look even more handsome in them." Bai Qianxue asked the driver to take out a bunch of bags from the car. More than half of them were clothes she had picked out for Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing smiled. In the face of her kindness, he suddenly felt that perhaps he was more willing to pretend to be her boyfriend than to fulfill his promise. "Don't think too much about the clothes I bought for you. Tomorrow is the birthday of the old man of the Bai family. Not only the Bai family but also the upper class of the Chuzhou city will be there. I'll show you around then." "Okay." Li Chongqing cracked a smile. "Before you came back, a guy who claimed to be the family lord of the Bai family came to see me. He didn't do anything to you, right?" Bai Qianxue asked nervously. "Don't worry, we had a friendly conversation. However, he seemed a bit upset when I left. Maybe it was because I didn't treat him to tea." Bai Qianxue shook her head with a wry smile. She didn't need to think to know what the family lord of the Bai family wanted to talk to her about. However, there was no turning back now. After lunch at the mansion, Bai Qianxue took Li Chongqing to hang out with her friends in the afternoon. This time, it wasn't to promote Li Chongqing's identity. After a few days of hype, almost the entire upper-class society in Chuzhou City knew about Li Chongqing. Seeing that tomorrow was the day for the real battle, Bai Qianxue really wanted to take Li Chongqing to relax. Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue arrived at a high-end clubhouse. The name of the clubhouse was Jiangshan, and it was decorated in an extravagant style. It was said that this was one of the most popular places in the Chuzhou city's upper-class society, because it made people feel like they were in the limelight. After Li Chongqing arrived, he saw Bai Qianxue's close friends from the coffee shop. Among them, the enchanting woman, Tao Jie, was wearing a simple short-sleeved shirt and a black leather skirt. She had a head of curly blonde hair. No matter what, this woman was so enchanting that people would blush and not dare to look directly at her. Li Chongqing had seen Bai Qianxue's social circle in the past few days, so no one was surprised by Li Chongqing's appearance. On the other hand, Li Chongqing saw Han Dong again. However, this time, Han Dong didn't greet Li Chongqing. Instead, he stood beside Zhao Shumo and tried to please him. Bai Qianxue furrowed her brows and asked one of her friends, "Why is he here?" It was obvious that neither Li Chongqing nor Bai Qianxue liked Zhao Shumo. That day at the bar, he was so scared that he hid behind Bai Qianxue. Compared to Li Chongqing, who stood out bravely, the difference was like the difference between coal and diamond. Of course, this was only Bai Qianxue's personal opinion. In other people's eyes, no matter how good Li Chongqing was at fighting and how brave he couldn't change the fact that he was a poor kid. No matter how cowardly Zhao Shumo was, no one could ignore his family's billion-dollar business. In this day and age, the poor might not be able to get a sincere smile from a beautiful woman even if they tried their best to be considerate. However, the rich second generation could make all kinds of school beauties willingly take off their clothes with just a curl of their fingers and a random branded bag or the key to a sports car. Young Lord Zhao has a lot of influence in the social circle. Qianxue, you haven't been in Chuzhou City for years, so you don't know a lot of things. Besides, many people in our social circle have a good relationship with Zhao Shumo. In fact, you can be friends with young Lord Zhao. Hearing her friend's words, Bai Qianxue felt a bit helpless. After all, she couldn't forbid others from interacting with Zhao Shumo just because she liked him. Besides, the Zhao family was indeed very influential in Chuzhou City. After all, there were only a handful of people in Chuzhou City who could make Bai Jinbin invite them out for dinner. Although the Jiangshan clubhouse had a lot of influence in Chuzhou City, it didn't dare to show any disrespect to Zhao Shumo and Bai Qianxue. Inside the luxurious emperor's hall, everyone sat down. When the wine was served, a few powerful rich second generation arrived. Even Tao Jie, this enchanting and proud woman, showed a bit of surprise on her face. These were all the most powerful heirs in Chuzhou City. When they appeared, the girls' eyes lit up and they couldn't wait to get close to them. Especially Han Dong, who was trying to curry favor with them. However, after these people arrived, they only greeted Bai Qianxue with a few words before immediately sitting next to Zhao Shumo. Their attitude was very obvious. Among the people present, only Bai Qianxue and Zhao Shumo could be mentioned in the same breath as these people. Many people didn't find it strange. Instead, they thought it was reasonable. Especially the girls who were close to Zhao Shumo, they gave Li Chongqing a smug look, as if to say that even though he was Bai Qianxue's boyfriend, he was nothing compared to Zhao Shumo. Bai Qianxue had wanted to take Li Chongqing out to relax, but now, her face darkened. However, she couldn't say no to some of her close friends. Fortunately, Li Chongqing didn't show any displeasure, so Bai Qianxue heaved a sigh of relief. During this time, she ignored the greetings of her close friends and sat beside Li Chongqing. This caused Zhao Shumo's eyes to turn cold. He liked Bai Qianxue, and from the first time he saw her, he couldn't stop himself. However, now that his goddess was being intimate with another man, he felt an indescribable rage burn in his heart. Originally, with his personality, he would have already attacked Li Chongqing due to his new and old hatred. However, after seeing Li Chongqing's valiant strength, he really didn't dare to openly provoke this somewhat wild man. Li Chongqing was in a good mood today. He took the initiative to pour himself a glass of red wine. Bai Qianxue was afraid that Zhao Shumo's appearance would affect Li Chongqing's mood. She clinked glasses with Li Chongqing a few times. In the end, her face was red. She hugged Li Chongqing's arm and leaned her head on Li Chongqing's shoulder. She seemed to have fallen asleep. Her long black hair and the faint fragrance coming from her body could be smelled with a flick of her fingers. At this moment, a sudden phone call interrupted the beautiful moment between the two of them. Bai Qianxue left Li Chongqing's arm with a red face. Li Chongqing picked up the phone and a man's voice came through. "Sir, I'm Qiyu. I'm here to apologize." Chapter 121. The Taoist Qi cultivation method may not be able to make people achieve longevity, but it was recognized that it could prolong one's life. The most typical example was the slovenly Taoist Zhang Sanfeng. He lived from the Song dynasty to the Ming dynasty through 3 dynasties. Emperor Yongle Zhu Di built a palace for him in Wudong because he wanted to see this magical figure who had lived for more than 300 years. Unfortunately, he had no chance to see Zhang Sanfeng's true appearance in his life. Qiyu was the only cultivator under Li Chongqing. At that time, Li Chongqing passed on a cultivation method called Tai Ching Mantra to Qiyu. He was indeed very talented in cultivation, so he could be ranked with Su Xiaolin and Gu Mangong at the youngest age. When he saw Qiyu at the entrance of the Jiangshan Club, Qiyu knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times to Li Chongqing without saying a word, claiming that he had failed to discipline him and asking Li Chongqing to punish him. Li Chongqing naturally knew that he was referring to his subordinate Nalin Yuding. "He doesn't know my identity, and he has received the punishment he deserves. It's not your fault." Li Chongqing asked Qiyu to get up. This was one of the 2 giants in northern Huaxia. Because he cultivated Tai Ching Mantra, he still looked only in his 30s. His face was white and clean, and his appearance was gentle and elegant. It was easy to associate him with the word gigolo. Because he was a bit feminine, he looked less masculine and gave people a sickly feeling. No wonder he was called a sick tiger. "It seems that your Tai Ching Mantra has improved over the years." Li Chongqing showed some appreciation. "Let's go in together." After Li Chongqing finished speaking, he turned and walked into the club. Qiyu followed closely behind. The little brother who used to be Li Chongqing's follower had now grown into a powerful man in the north. At this moment, he put away all his arrogance and was willing to be a servant behind this man. Indeed, no matter how high his status was, Qiyu knew in his heart that he would always be a dog by his master's side. Therefore, Nalin Yuding, who dared to offend Li Chongqing and was regarded by many as his confidant who could become his successor, was directly rewarded with a bullet after returning from Qingzhou. As compensation for his service for so many years, Qiyu promised him before he died to take care of his family. Many subordinates felt that Qiyu was a bit heartless, but Qiyu didn't explain. He was an orphan. If he hadn't met Li Chongqing, he might have starved to death on the street. His life was given by Li Chongqing. No matter who offended Li Chongqing, he would not hesitate to kill him. Li Chongqing's position in his heart had surpassed his own. Qiyu's arrival made Li Chongqing suddenly look forward to tomorrow's birthday banquet of the old man of the Bai family. Today, the head of the Bai family, Bai Jiaxing, pointed at his nose and said that he couldn't afford to offend the Bai family. He wanted to see what kind of expression those people would have when he stepped on the Bai family's face and kept rubbing it on the ground. Bai Qianxue, you really made a fortune by asking me to pretend to be your boyfriend, Li Chongqing muttered to himself. He glanced at Qiyu, who had restrained all his momentum and was slightly bowing, and whispered, "They still don't know my identity, and you are already the famous sickly tiger. You don't need to pretend to be a servant. You should know that I didn't save you to make you bow, but to let you be a tiger out of the mountains and swallow the mountains and rivers. Moreover, I don't like the name sickly tiger." "I understand." Qiyu nodded. However, he didn't straighten his back because he knew that he was just a loyal dog in front of Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing and Qiyu pushed open the door of the private room and walked in one after another. Qiyu straightened his back the moment he entered the private room because Li Chongqing had told him to be as imposing as a tiger in front of outsiders. "Qianxue, let me introduce you. This is my friend, young Master Qi." Li Chongqing knew that Qiyu's name was too intimidating, so he said this. Although Qiyu was almost 50 years old, he still looked very young. At most, he looked like he was in his 30s, so it was not an exaggeration to call him young Master Qi. "My family is just a small business." Qiyu smiled and reached out his hand to Bai Qianxue. Bai Qianxue didn't expect that Li Chongqing would have friends in Chuzhou City. Qiyu's suit was obviously custom-made, and the watch on his wrist was as high as 6 figures. This kind of person's family was probably worth at least 10 billion. If it was someone else's friend, Bai Qianxue wouldn't be surprised. However, Li Chongqing was obviously just a poor boy, and it was a bit strange that he knew someone like this. Qiyu looked gentle, but there were many people in the room who were discerning and didn't dare to underestimate him. Han Dong looked at Li Chongqing strangely and suddenly found that this man, who he thought he had seen through, was becoming more and more mysterious. On the other hand, Zhao Shumo and his friends didn't have much of an expression on their faces. A net worth of 10 billion might be worth a lot of people in the room, but for the Zhao family, it was still not worth mentioning. The two sat down in the private room, and people looked at them from time to time. Li Chongqing handed Qiyu a glass of red wine and said, "Your subordinates attacked Chu Yaotian in Qingzhou City last time. They must have been hiding it from you. It seems that your control over your subordinates is a bit weak. Is there something wrong with your internal department?" Qiyu and Chu Yaotian worked under Li Chongqing, and they had a good relationship. If he knew that Li Chongqing had attacked the Chu family, he definitely wouldn't have allowed it. However, it happened, so it was inevitable that Li Chongqing would have some doubts in his heart. "I have been a little lax in these years. Not only have there been people running amok in my internal department, but there are also many people in the north who have done things in my name. It's time to punish them," Qiyu said lightly, but there was a hint of murderous intent in his words. Although he had tried his best to restrain his aura in front of Li Chongqing, as a super big boss, many things were engraved in his bones and would inadvertently come out. Qiyu's words attracted the attention of many present. Although the crowd did not know what level this friend of Li Chongqing's belonged to, the aura that Qiyu unconsciously exuded made them feel as if they had seen the shadow of their family's elders, perhaps even surpassing them. "Friend, you are young, but your tone is not small. What kind of business does your family do? What is the main scope of business? Tell us and let us hear it," Zhao Shumo said. Qiyu's tone made him feel very uncomfortable. Thinking that Qiyu was Li Chongqing's friend, he couldn't help but ask about the other party's background. He didn't believe that a poor boy like Li Chongqing could know any real big shots. Chapter 122. My company is involved in a variety of businesses, such as real estate, venture capital, and some industrial factories. My main business is in the northwest. Qiyu spoke casually, but many people were already surprised. His business spanned across many industries, so he had to use all kinds of connections. Qi Yu had mentioned the Northwest, not a specific city, which meant that his business scope was very broad. The information revealed in one sentence was enough to make people not dare to underestimate him. Although Zhao Shimo was a rich man, he was smart enough to understand Qi Yu's words. Li Chongqing was just a poor boy in the countryside, so it was impossible for him to have such powerful friends. However, the feeling that Qi Yu gave him told him that this man was not simple. "Have you heard of Master Chen in the Northwest?" Zhao Shimo asked. Master Chen was a person that his father had mentioned. He was a very low-key person, but he was very powerful. In the Northwest, only those who had reached that level would know his name. "You are talking about the owner of the Dexin Group, Chen Yenda, right?" Qi Yu looked at Zhao Shimo with surprise. He had never thought that someone in a remote place like the Chuzhou city would know of one of his founding members. However, he was only a little surprised. Just like he was Li Chongqing's servant, Chen Yenda was also his servant. He didn't need to pay much attention to someone who knew of his servant's name. The Chuzhou city was so small that even a small pawn of his could be considered a dragon in the Chuzhou city. "I heard that Master Chen has a big shot backing him up. That's why he was able to develop the Dexin Group so quickly in just a few years and become the leader in the industry. Is that true?" Zhao Shimo stared at Qi Yu, trying to figure out his status in the Northwest through his expression. He saw Li Chongqing as an enemy, so of course he had to figure out Li Chongqing's background. Only by knowing oneself and knowing one's enemy could one emerge victorious. The powerful backer is the Great Desert Group in the Northwest. Chen Gong, one of the 3 generals of the Great Desert Group, is his nephew. Qi Yu cracked a smile and said. Zhao Shimo's probing didn't escape Chen Fan's eyes. Without Li Chongqing's permission, he didn't dare to casually reveal his identity. Otherwise, just the 2 words, Qi Yu, would scare the other party so much that their legs would go soft. The few young ladies treated Zhao Shimo as their Prince Charming. Originally, they were dissatisfied that Qi Yu had stolen Zhao Shimo's limelight. But now, from the conversation between the 2 of them, even a fool could tell that this man seemed to be different from the rest. Zhao Shimo also slightly restrained the arrogance on his face. Being able to know this kind of information in itself represented a kind of status. Even if one had half a foot in the circle of the Northwest, in Chuzhou City, one would be like a dragon crossing the river. I wonder if young Master Qi is acquainted with the chairman of Dexin? Zhao Shimo stared at Qi Yu's face. This sentence was undoubtedly asking if Qi Yu had the qualifications to contact Chen Yenda. Although Zhao Shimo didn't think much of it, Chen Yenda was still considered a big shot even in the northern China. In a small place like the Chuzhou city, Chen Yenda was like the Buddha of Mount Tai. I do know him, but I am more familiar with one of his juniors. The junior Qi Yu was talking about was one of the 3 generals under his command, Chen Gong. Although Chen Yenda had done a lot for the Desert Group, he was still an outsider after all. Moreover, he was getting impatient with Zhao Shimo's constant probing. If it weren't for Li Chongqing's presence, Qi Yu wouldn't have the right to talk to him. Even his father, Zhao Xian, was not worthy of Qi Yu's attention. So he knows Chen Yenda's juniors. No wonder he knows so much. Zhao Shimo heaved a sigh of relief. If the other party was indeed a big shot who could contact Chen Yenda, then he would have to re-evaluate Li Chongqing's status. However, if he was just a junior who knew Chen Yenda, then it was nothing. There was no shortage of spoiled brats everywhere. The Chen family was a big family in the Northwest, so it was normal for them to have a few good-for-nothing juniors. Over the years, Zhao Shimo had gotten to know a few descendants from the capital city. However, those people could only use their father's name to cheat others. They didn't have any real power. They were not even presentable. Shimo, does your family have business dealings with the Northwest's Dexin Group? A rich second generation next to him asked in surprise. Although Chen Yenda kept a low profile, the Dashin Group was a big business in the Northwest. I just worked with the Dashin Group on a small project. I am just running errands for the Dashin Group. Although Zhao Shumo said it humbly, he couldn't hide the smugness in his eyes. Qi Yu curled his lips and looked at him with disdain. Han Dong, who had been observing Qi Yu's expression, was puzzled. Even if this man knew Chen Yenda's juniors, he shouldn't be showing such an expression. Unless the junior he knew was very favored by Chen Yenda in the Chen family. Even so, he didn't have the right to look down on Zhao Shumo. Bai Qianxue was happy for Li Chongqing from the bottom of her heart. Ever since Li Chongqing's identity as a poor boy was exposed, he had been treated with disdain. Qi Yu's appearance had helped him regain some of his dignity. A person from the Northwest who had connections with Chen Yenda couldn't be that bad. The fact that Li Chongqing was able to make friends with someone like him proved that he was a capable person. Li Chongqing was a bit dizzy after staying in the room for so long. He walked to the window in the hallway, and Qi Yu followed him out. Qi Yu took out a cigarette and lit it for him. After taking a deep breath, Li Chongqing said, "I am going to the Bai family's banquet tomorrow. You will come with me. The entire Chuzhou city is waiting for me to make a fool of myself. I will make them a laughingstock." "Yes." Qi Yu nodded. "Don't worry, Mr. Chen. The Bai family is nothing. I can destroy them with one word." Li Chongqing immediately shook his head. "You brat, you only bow and scrape in front of me. In reality, your bones are filled with cruelty and violence. You're always fighting and killing. With such a heavy aura of violence, when will you learn the Taoist's pure heart and few desires?" "I will change," Qi Yu said hurriedly. "Never mind." Li Chongqing waved his hand. "If you change, you are not Qi Yu anymore." After saying that, he stubbed out the cigarette butt and threw it into the trash can beside him. The two of them walked back into the private room. Tao Jie, who was on her way to the washroom, overheard the conversation between the two. Her face was filled with disbelief and shock. Chapter 123. Originally, Bai Qianxue wanted to take Li Chongqing to relax, but in the end, the atmosphere was not very friendly. Li Chongqing's appearance was undoubtedly an anomaly in Bai Qianxue's circle. He was not welcomed and was even viewed with hostility. However, Li Chongqing didn't really care. To him, Zhao Shumo, Jun Xiao, and Han Dong were not enough to make him waver. A dragon wouldn't care about an ant's provocation. A day passed quickly. The next day, Bai Jinbin drove Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue to the Bai family's residence in Chuzhou City. Today was the birthday of Bai Guangxiong, the most powerful man in the Bai family. The Bai family was one of the most powerful families in Chuzhou City. Almost half of the Chuzhou City's elites came to congratulate the old man on his birthday. Bai Qianxue chose to take Li Chongqing to the Bai family's banquet today, which meant that they were on the opposite side of the Bai family. In front of the Bai family's residence, there were two giant stone lions. Bai Jinbin drove in directly. By then, there were already many guests. Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue's appearance attracted a lot of attention. "So that is Bai Qianxue's boyfriend? I heard that he is just a country bumpkin. I wonder what Miss Bai likes about him." As soon as they got out of the car, they heard a lot of discussion. By then, everyone in the Chuzhou city knew that Miss Bai was going to reject the marriage with the Qing family and choose a poor boy. "I heard that the old man of the Bai family said that he would never agree to this marriage. I don't think the Bai family will be nice to this boy. Not only will they not be nice to him, they might even kick him out." Under Bai Jinbin's lead, Bai Qianxue and Li Chongqing walked hand in hand into the main hall of the Bai clan, ignoring the onlookers. "I am sorry for what happened," Bai Qianxue said to Li Chongqing. At the same time, Li Chongqing could feel that her palms were sweaty. She was very nervous, like a soldier going to war for the first time. This was also a war for her to fight for her own happiness. "It's okay," Li Chongqing smiled. Now that he and Bai Qianxue had come to this point, it was no longer a simple transaction. Bai Jinbin smiled bitterly as he listened to the two people whispering behind him. Even though he was the Bai family's representative in Chuzhou City, he didn't have the right to speak on this occasion, let alone plead for the young couple. Since you said that you're worthy of Qianxue, I hope you won't disappoint me. Bai Jiaxing thought silently. There were many people in the hall. Other than the Bai clan's patriarch, Bai Jiaxing, there were also a few doyens from the main branch and many representatives from the branches. Their statuses were not lower than Bai Jinbin's. Old Master Bai and Bai Guangxiong were sitting in the innermost row. They already knew about Bai Qianxue, so when Bai Qianxue appeared holding Li Chongqing's arm, no one was surprised. However, when Bai Qianxue took the initiative to greet the uncles and elders of the Bai family, other than a few branch stewards who were close to Bai Jinbin nodding slightly, the elders of the main branch acted as if they didn't hear her at all. Old Master Bai Guangxiong didn't even look at Bai Qianxue. He just whispered something to his son, Bai Jiaxing. Heartless and cold. Bai Qianxue's family didn't have much power in front of the main branch. Furthermore, she had disobeyed the main branch's order and refused to marry young Lord Qing. Her actions had disrupted the Bai family's plan, so the Bai family didn't treat her kindly. Bai Qianxue greeted everyone one by one, but she was ignored. She felt wronged. A few girls sitting at the edge of the hall looked at her with disdain. Hello everyone, I am Qianxue's boyfriend. My name is Li Chongqing. I plan to marry Qianxue next month. I hope everyone can come and support us. They didn't expect Li Chongqing to say something like this in such a situation. Everyone looked at him in shock. They wanted to see where this poor boy got his courage from. The Bai clan wanted to betroth Bai Qianxue to the young master of the Qing clan. Even if he and Bai Qianxue were truly in love, he should have come here to beg the Bai clan's main bloodline to agree to their marriage. His words were tantamount to provocation. The atmosphere in the hall suddenly froze. However, because Old Master Bai didn't say anything, the Bai family's young men who didn't like Li Chongqing didn't dare to act rashly. However, their eyes were filled with hostility. Even Bai Jinbin couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. He thought that this young man was really bold and fearless. However, Bai Jinbin wasn't sure if he was a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of a tiger or if he had something to rely on. If Li Chongqing only had extraordinary strength, he wouldn't be able to compete with the Bai family. The guests are almost all here. We should go out. Bai Guangxiong didn't look at the young man who made him feel disgusted. He got up and walked out of the Bai family's hall. Because there were more guests, the birthday party was held in another large villa in the Bai family. There were specialized Bai family personnel in charge of receiving the guests. This was the place where the Bai family's internal members discussed matters. The Bai family members followed him out of the hall. No one paid any attention to Li Chongqing. When the Bai family's young men passed by Li Chongqing, they glared at him menacingly. Bai Qianxue suddenly grabbed Li Chongqing's hand. She lowered her head, afraid that the proud Li Chongqing would leave in a huff. In this war against the Bai family, Li Chongqing was her only comrade in arms. Li Chongqing seemed to feel the woman's worry. He rubbed her head. She, who was always as cold as an iceberg, was as docile as a kitten at this moment. After everyone left, Bai Jinbin smiled bitterly and said, "Chongqing, young Lord Qing is coming. You shouldn't go out." "It's okay." Li Chongqing smiled. "Since I've chosen to step into the Bai family, I'm prepared to face everything." As he spoke, he looked at Bai Qianxue, who was obviously nervous. He patted her shoulder and walked out of the hall. Bai Jinbin couldn't help but shake his head. He was worried. He was naturally aware of Li Chongqing's strength. However, against a giant like the Bai family, pure strength was useless. If Li Chongqing had a conflict with the Bai family, the consequences would be unimaginable. especially since Li Chongqing was now Bai Qianxue's boyfriend. If the Bai family's main branch had something against them because of him, even Bai Jinbin would have a hard time. I must not let Li Chongqing mess around. Bai Jinbin thought to himself and hurriedly followed him out. Chapter 124. Bai Guangxiong's birthday banquet was attended by not only the elites of the Chuzhou city, but also the tycoons of the nearby cities. The large hall of the mansion was filled with elites from all walks of life. No wonder the Bai family is the most powerful family in the Chuzhou city. I don't think even the mayor of the Chuzhou city is as powerful as this. Tao Jie and a few of Bai Qianxue's close friends exclaimed. Although many people in the Chuzhou city knew about the Bai family, they were still shocked to see it with their own eyes. I heard that the Bai family is adamantly against Bai Qianxue marrying a poor boy. In the past, I thought that the Bai family was a little too unreasonable. But now, it seems that the Bai family is so powerful. Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue are indeed a sparrow and a phoenix together. A girl lamented. Perhaps that Li Chongqing covets the position of the Bai family and wants to be a carp leaping over the dragon gate, flying up to become a phoenix. A girl who didn't like Li Chongqing pouted. Although the others didn't say a word, they all nodded. Apparently, they thought that Li Chongqing had ulterior motives for marrying Bai Qianxue. Tao Jie, you guys are here too. Young Lord Jun waved at Tao Jie and the other girls. You guys are here too? Tao Jie wasn't surprised by young Lord Jun's appearance. She knew that young Lord Jun and the others were here with their parents. Huh? Where is Zhao Shimo? Tao Jie looked to young Lord Jun curiously. Young Lord Jun and Zhao Shimo were good friends, so Zhao Shimo would definitely show up. He went to accompany young Lord Qing. I don't think he has time for a small fry like me. Young Lord Jun said sarcastically. Young Lord Qing? Is he young Lord Qing Yu, Bai Qianxue's fiancé? Tao Jie was taken aback. Yes, who else could it be? Bai Qianxue will definitely show up at such an important banquet. I wonder if that bumpkin dares to show up. If he does, then we are in for a good show. Young Lord Jun said excitedly. Everyone knew who the bumpkin he was talking about. Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue arrived at the villa's main hall. Looking at the densely packed crowd, Li Chongqing had a rough idea of the Bai family's status. Little brother, we meet again. As soon as he entered the hall, he heard a loud and clear voice. Turning around, it turned out to be Brother Leopard whom he had met in the bar. What a coincidence! Li Chongqing also nodded. Little brother, I didn't know that day at the bar, but I've heard a lot about you these past few days. You dared to interfere with the marriage set by Old Master Bai. Aren't you afraid that Old Master Bai will cut you into pieces in anger? Brother Leopard said jokingly. He might have reminded him a little. On today's occasion, perhaps Old Master Bai would not do anything during the birthday banquet, but it might not be the case after the birthday banquet ended. Which of those big families that looked glorious on the surface did not have any dirty deeds behind their backs? Don't worry, they won't dare. Li Chongqing smiled. However, Brother Leopard couldn't help but be stunned as he shook his head. It's good for young people to have a sharp edge, but sometimes you still have to know how to keep a low profile. More importantly, you have to recognize yourself. Brother Leopard patted Li Chongqing's shoulder. Although he thought highly of Li Chongqing, in his opinion, even if this young man had Bai Jinbin's help, it would take 10 years for him to reach his current status. As for the Bai family, if he had enough opportunities, he might be able to compete with them in 30 years. Going against the Bai family now was tantamount to digging his own grave. I still have a few friends over there. Little brother, you can do as you please. Brother Leopard was too lazy to talk to Li Chongqing. Originally, he wanted to kindly remind him, but he was a little disappointed that the other party did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. As soon as Brother Leopard left, there was an uproar in the crowd. Look, young Master Qing is here. It's Qing Yu. Last month, I saw a scandal between him and a popular actress in the newspaper. The crowd was abuzz with discussion. Qing Yu is the only son of the Qing family. He is also the most eligible bachelor in the Chuzhou city. Rumor has it that he has affairs with many women in the entertainment industry. This is also the reason why Bai Qianxue is determined not to marry him. Qing Yu's appearance was accompanied by many of the most eligible heirs in the Chuzhou city. Zhao Shumo, who had always been the center of attention, stood beside Qing Yu like a minion. Many people took the initiative to greet Qing Yu. Suddenly, Zhao Shumo saw Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue standing there. He leaned over to Qing Yu and whispered something into his ear. Then, a cold light flashed in Qing Yu's eyes as he walked toward Li Chongqing. "You are Li Chongqing?" Qing Yu stopped in front of Li Chongqing and sized Li Chongqing up. Then, he shook his head. "I was wondering what kind of talent you were, but you are just a piece of trash. What a disappointment." Seeing Qing Yu's appearance, Bai Qianxue was visibly nervous. "You are Qianxue's fiancé? His dog-like appearance really makes me sick." As soon as Li Chongqing opened his mouth, everyone was stunned. Who would have thought that this poor country bumpkin would not only be trembling in fear in front of the Qing clan, but also take the initiative to provoke them? This was simply too reckless. "Young Lord Qing, Li Chongqing is just a country bumpkin. Please don't be mad at him." When Bai Jinbin saw that the situation was not good, he hurried over and said with an apologetic smile, "Sure enough, he's from the countryside. Barren hills and turbulent rivers give birth to unruly people. Of course, I won't bite back after being bitten by a dog, but I'll use an axe to chop his dog's mouth." Qing Yu snorted. "Today is Lord Bai's birthday party, so I won't touch him. But when the party is over, you will die." Qing Yu smiled coldly at Li Chongqing. The coldness in his eyes made Bai Qianxue shiver. Zhao Shumo was gloating at the side. He couldn't wait for Qing Yu to teach Li Chongqing a lesson. However, he knew that the possibility of that happening was low. After all, it was a birthday party. Whoever caused trouble would be slapping the Bai family's face. Although Qing Yu was usually arrogant and unreasonable, it didn't mean that he had low IQ. It was just that he hadn't met anyone that could make him afraid. Bai Jinbin looked at Li Chongqing nervously. Based on his understanding of Li Chongqing, he was someone who wasn't afraid of anything. He definitely wouldn't allow Qing Yu to be so arrogant. Sure enough, Li Chongqing raised his head and said, "Who gave you the feeling of superiority? If you want me to die, I'm afraid you will be the one who dies." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Even Zhao Shumo was stunned. He didn't think that Li Chongqing would dare to say such words in front of young Lord Qing. However, he quickly showed a happy expression. "What a country bumpkin! How dare you provoke young Lord Qing? Let's see if you will die this time." Chapter 125. When Li Chongqing said this, even Bai Qianxue's heart tightened. Qing Yu was not someone to be trifled with. The young master of the Qing family was famous for being arrogant and despotic. Li Chongqing provoked him in front of his face. If a conflict broke out, not only the Qing family, but even the Bai family's face would be damaged. At that time, there would be no room for reconciliation. "This guy is really fearless." Bai Jinbin sighed in his heart. The scene that he was most afraid of had happened. He felt powerless, but at the same time, his heart was filled with resentment. Even if Li Chongqing had the strength, he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. How could the Qing and Bai families be provoked with just his little bit of strength? Qing Yu's face suddenly became gloomy, and his eyes were filled with coldness. "Brat, don't think that I won't dare to do anything to you just because we're at Master Bai's birthday banquet. Do you believe that I won't break your legs and throw you into the river to feed the turtles? Is that so?" Li Chongqing's eyes revealed a hint of playfulness. Why don't you give it a try and see who broke whose leg? When these words came out, the crowd finally understood what it meant to be fearless. Li Chongqing wants to shed all pretense of cordiality with the young master of the Qing family. But thinking about it, if Li Chongqing was afraid, he wouldn't be together with Bai Qianxue. Bai Qianxue's boyfriend is really gutsy, but it's a pity that he doesn't know his place. Many people were shaking their heads. Tao Jie's eyes revealed a complicated expression. If she didn't accidentally hear the conversation between Li Chongqing and Qi Yu, perhaps she would also think that Li Chongqing was overestimating himself. But now, she could only pray for Qing Yu. A person who could make the famous sickly tiger bow and bend his knees, how could a small young master of the Qing family offend him? Qing Yu was completely enraged. Although he and Bai Qianxue had only met a few times and did not have any feelings for each other, Bai Qianxue was still his fiancé in name. Now that his fiancé had been snatched away, he did not even get angry. This person who snatched his fiancé actually dared to provoke him in front of so many people. This was simply unbearable. Good, very good. Looks like you're in a hurry to seek death. Then, I can only fulfill your wish. Everyone knew that Qing Yu was angry. Break his legs for me. Qing Yu roared with a ferocious expression. Immediately, 2 bodyguards walked out from behind him. Hearing the commotion, more and more people gathered around. Qing Yu, I don't care if you want to cause trouble here, but I hope you will reconsider. You are representing the Qing family, not yourself, Bai Jinbin said as he glared at Zhao Shimo fiercely. Although Zhao Shimo couldn't wait for Qing Yu and Li Chongqing to start fighting, he knew the meaning behind Bai Jinbin's glance. His family had a lot of business dealings with the Bai family, so he didn't want to offend Bai Jinbin. Thus, he reluctantly said, "Young Master Qing, I think we should forget about it. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. This is just a little bumpkin. It won't be too late to deal with him after the banquet. Why do we have to make the Bai family look bad?" With Zhao Shimo's persuasion, the anger on Qing Yu's face subsided. He coldly looked at Li Chongqing. "Brat, wait until the banquet is over. See how I'll deal with you." After saying that, he turned to leave. Bai Jinbin and the others let out a long sigh of relief. Who knew that at this time, Li Chongqing indifferently said, "I'm afraid the one who will be dealt with will be you." When these words came out, Qing Yu stopped in his tracks and turned around. His eyes were about to spit fire. "What did you say?" The surrounding people were all shocked. They looked at Li Chongqing in disbelief. They couldn't believe that Li Chongqing dared to say such words. Bai Jinbin was so angry that he turned his head to the side. It wasn't easy for him to calm Qing Yu's anger, but it was all ruined by Li Chongqing. Bai Qianxue pulled Li Chongqing's sleeve. Li Chongqing's appearance at the banquet today was actually her goal. Now, she just had to wait for the Bai family's response. It could be said that Li Chongqing's mission was basically completed. The rest was up to Bai Qianxue to deal with. With Li Chongqing's provocation, it was very likely that the matter would become bigger and bigger. In the crowd, Han Dong kept shaking his head. With Li Chongqing's personality, even if the Bai family agreed to let Bai Qianxue marry him, he wouldn't be able to go far. He would only offend people everywhere. In the end, he wouldn't have a good ending. Thinking back to when he saw Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue together in the Jiangshan Guild Hall, he regretted that he didn't build a good relationship with Li Chongqing. Now that he thought about it, staying away from Li Chongqing was the right thing to do. Just as Qing Yu clenched his fists and couldn't help but want to personally deal with this bumpkin who dared to provoke him, Bai Jinbin sighed and stood up. "Today is the Bai family's birthday party. Young Lord Qing, please behave yourself and don't make things difficult for me." Although Bai Jinbin was only a branch of the Bai family, he was a very capable individual. He was in charge of all the affairs of the Bai family in the Chuzhou city and had a high status in the Jianghu. "Fine, Bai Jinbin, you are going to protect this kid, right? Let's see how long you can protect him." Qing Yu didn't dare to go against Bai Jinbin, especially since Bai Jinbin had a bodyguard, Zhou Xing, behind him. He was the soldier king of the Dragon Group and was a famous figure in the Chuzhou city. Qing Yu wasn't sure if his two bodyguards were a match for Zhou Xing. Kid, Bai Jinbin can protect you now, but not forever. After the banquet, I will cripple you, Qing Yu said viciously. Although he heard from Zhao Shumo that Li Chongqing was good at fighting, in his understanding, Li Chongqing only had a few tricks up his sleeves. His two bodyguards were professionally trained masters. Even if they couldn't beat Zhou Xing, they were more than enough to deal with Li Chongqing. You are welcome to cripple me at any time. Li Chongqing cracked a smile, but there was no trace of fear on his face. The banquet is about to begin, someone shouted, and then the old lord of the Bai family, Bai Guangxiong, and a group of senior officials appeared. As a member of the Bai family, Bai Jinbin hurried to the stage. At this moment, even if Qing Yu wanted to cause trouble, he couldn't. If he did, he would be slapping old Lord Bai in the face. A round of applause came from the crowd. Old Lord Bai stood on the stage and said a few words of gratitude. Then, he sat down on a chair and let Bai Jiaxing host the banquet. The CEO of the Wan Xing Group wishes Old Lord Bai happiness and longevity. He would like to present a pair of jade Rui scepters. Of course, the birthday banquet was full of gifts. Two staff members brought the jade Rui scepters onto the stage, and Old Lord Bai's face lit up. Jiangnan Leather Factory presents a Buddha statue. The CEO of the Juxing Group presents a calligraphy piece. The bosses of various companies in the Chuzhou city presented their gifts. The young lord of the Qing family presents a jade guanyin. Along with the announcement, a 1-meter-tall jade guanyin was brought onto the stage. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. Such a tall jade guanyin must be priceless. Didn't the marriage between the Qing family and the Bai family fall through? Bai Qianxue had chosen a poor boy. Why would the young lord of the Qing family present such an expensive gift? Someone asked in confusion. Although the marriage between the Qing family and the Bai family failed, the cooperation between the two families will not be terminated. The young lord of the Qing family is showing his attitude by presenting such an expensive gift. I heard that Bai Qianxue's bumpkin boyfriend is also here. I wonder what kind of gift he will present as Bai Qianxue's boyfriend? No matter what kind of gift he presents, it will not be able to compete with the young lord of the Qing family. The young lord of the Qing family is trying to show Bai Qianxue the difference between him and that poor boy. Everyone discussed among themselves. Qing Yu looked proudly at Li Chongqing, who was in the corner of the stage. He suddenly opened his mouth and said, "If Qian Shui is unwilling to marry me, I can't force her." However, as Qian Shui's boyfriend, what gift have you prepared for Master Bai? As soon as he finished speaking, countless pairs of eyes locked onto Li Chongqing. Chapter 126. Hearing Qing Yu's words, Bai Qianshue's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't believe that she had forgotten about the gift. For Old Man Bai's birthday banquet, even if it was an unrelated person, as long as they attended the banquet, they would have prepared a gift. As Bai Qianshue's boyfriend, if Li Chongqing didn't prepare a gift, then it would be too much. Many people looked at Li Chongqing's position. They wanted to see what kind of birthday gift this bumpkin from the countryside had prepared for Elder Bai. Even the Bai family members were curious. After all, Qing Yu's gift was already precious enough. If Li Chongqing couldn't prepare a gift of equal value, he would become the laughing stock of the Chuzhou city. A bitter smile appeared on Bai Jinbin's face. These days, he had been so troubled by the matter between Li Chongqing and Bai Qianxue that he had forgotten about this matter. He was going to lose a lot of face today. Time passed by slowly. Seeing that Li Chongqing was still standing, Qing Yu's eyes were filled with pride. "Don't tell me you didn't prepare a gift?" As soon as he finished speaking, a commotion broke out in the hall. Oh my God, this is interesting. Even if your family is poor, you should at least show your appreciation. How dare you come to the Bai family's birthday banquet without a gift? Not only the onlookers, but even the Bai family members' faces darkened. This is too much. Who said I didn't prepare a gift for the Bai family's old man? Suddenly, Li Chongqing opened his mouth. The hall fell silent. Prepared a gift? Everyone wanted to see what he had prepared. Then take it out and let everyone see your gift. Qing Yu sneered. He didn't believe that this poor kid could come up with a better gift than his. My gift is to give the Bai family a life of riches. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone looked at each other. Riches? What riches? Even the members of the Bai family were puzzled. Qing Yu paused for a few seconds and then sneered. Don't tell me you didn't prepare a gift. How can a poor kid like you give the Bai family a life of riches? Everyone finally understood what Qing Yu meant. It turned out that his so-called gift was nothing more than a boast. The faces of the Bai family members also darkened in an instant. Not only did he not prepare any gifts, he even dared to spout nonsense here. How abominable! This poor brat actually said that he would give the Bai clan riches and honor. This is hilarious. Someone couldn't help but burst into laughter. Even Bai Qianxue could not help but frown. Li Chongqing had always liked to spout nonsense. It was fine, but it also depended on the occasion. Saying such things in this kind of situation would only make him a laughingstock. Bai Jinbin was even more speechless. Originally, Li Chongqing had saved him and Bai Qianxue last time, so he had a good impression of Li Chongqing. However, he didn't expect Li Chongqing to be such a vain person. He clearly didn't prepare a gift, but he said that he would give the Bai clan a fortune. Ha ha, ha. The sound of people clutching their stomachs could also be heard from the crowd. Old Master Bai snorted coldly. Bai Jiaxing also stood up from his seat and ordered his men, "Kick this shameless bastard out of my house. How dare he think he can be the son-in-law of the Bai family? What a joke!" As soon as he finished speaking, a few servants of the Bai family walked toward Li Chongqing. Qing Yu and Zhao Shumo were gloating over Qin Fan's misfortune. They thought that as soon as the banquet was over, the news of Bai Qianxue's boyfriend being kicked out of the Chuzhou city would spread like wildfire. By then, Li Chongqing would become the laughing stock of the entire Chuzhou city. A bumpkin from the countryside dares to go against me? You overestimate yourself. Qing Yu thought smugly. Even as everyone was waiting to see Chen Fan make a fool of himself, a commotion broke out in the crowd. Yang Liuji is here. Yang Ren was a real tycoon in the Chuzhou city, and his status was comparable to that of the Bai family. Even the Bai family members rose to their feet when they saw Yang Ren. Yang Ren? Why is he here? I heard that Lu Zhiyang and the Bai family were not on good terms because of a project a few years ago. They don't have much contact with each other. Is he here to pick a quarrel? Many people were on high alert. Yang Liuji was one of the few people in the Chuzhou city who was not afraid of the Bai family. At this moment, everyone in the Bai clan couldn't care less about Li Chongqing. They were all focused on Yang Ren, who suddenly appeared. Lord Liuji, it is my honor to have you here. Bai Jiaxing didn't know what Yang Liuji was up to, so he greeted him with a smile. Although the Bai family was not afraid of Yang Liuji, it would be a disgrace to the Bai family if Yang Liuji made a scene. Unexpectedly, Yang Liuji ignored Bai Jiaxing and scanned the crowd. When he saw Li Chongqing standing there, he hurriedly squeezed out a flattering smile and walked over. Mr. Li, I didn't know you were sitting here. I just got the news that you are in the Chuzhou city. Why didn't you tell me that you were here? Yang Liuji was a powerful figure in the Chuzhou city. However, his behavior made everyone's eyes pop out of their socket. Don't you hate me for breaking one of your fingers? Why did you come here to see me? Li Chongqing asked casually. How would I dare? I was blind and listened to the slanderous words of the father and son of the Qin family. That's why I went against you. Not to mention that you cut off my finger. Even if you cut off my entire hand, I wouldn't dare to have any resentment. Good for you. Sit down, Li Chongqing said. A wealthy businessman who was sitting next to Li Chongqing quickly moved to the side when he saw Yang Ren looking at him. Everyone at the scene was dumbfounded, their eyes and mouths agape. What is going on? Why is Yang Liuji acting like a slave in front of him? Many people were confused. Suddenly, they couldn't see through this poor kid anymore. When the conversation between Li Chongqing and Yang Liuji fell into the ears of everyone present, some of their expressions changed drastically. The first one was Zhao Shimo. Due to the special status of the Zhao family, they knew some inside information. They had long heard that Yang Liuji was defeated in Qingzhou and even had his sixth finger chopped off. At this moment, after listening to the conversation between the two, it turned out that it was because he had offended Li Chongqing. The mysterious young man is called Mr. Li Chongqing. His name is Li Chongqing. Zhao Shimo was terrified. Li Chongqing is Mr. Li. Other than Zhao Shimo, many people in the Chuzhou city also looked at Li Chongqing in disbelief. So this was the legendary Mr. Li. Even Bai Jinbin was stunned. He had heard about Yang Liuji in the Qingzhou city, but he had never thought that it was because of Li Chongqing. No wonder this kid is so arrogant. He has a background in the underworld. Bai Jiaxing thought of Li Chongqing's words the day before and immediately understood where Li Chongqing's confidence came from. But soon, he sneered. Even if he can subdue Yang Liuji, the Bai family is a century-old family. How can someone like Yang Liuji, who has just risen to power a decade ago, compare to us? Then, Bai Jiaxing said coldly, since you are Yang Liuji's friend, I will not kick you out. However, as the head of the Bai family, I would like to express my opinion. Bai Qianxue has been betrothed to Qingyu. If you want to marry Qianxue, it is impossible. Bai Qianxue's eyes reddened when she heard that. Bai Jinbin's expression was quite unsightly. If Li Chongqing was just a poor boy, it would be fine if the Bai family didn't agree. However, it was clear that Li Chongqing's identity wasn't simple, yet the Bai family was still saying this. They clearly didn't care about Bai Qianxue's happiness. At this moment, an arrogant voice suddenly sounded. My Mr. Li and Miss Qianxue are in a relationship. You disgusting flies are buzzing around. If you piss me off, I will strip you naked and throw you into the river to feed the turtles. Chapter 127. An extremely arrogant voice was heard, with a domineering aura. A pale-faced man walked in under the escort of his subordinate. Qiyu, one of the two mountains in the north, a name that made countless people tremble in fear. When the voice was heard, the young men of the Bai family wanted to reprimand him, but Bai Jiaxing glared at them. Bai Guangxiong, the old master of the Bai family, who had been sitting there as steadily as Mount Tai, also stood up at this moment, his face full of shock. Boss Qi, why are you here? Although many people present did not know Qi Yu's identity, they knew that he must be an extraordinary person when they saw the attitude of the Bai family. Bai Qianxue looked at the domineering man, thinking that he was just Li Chongqing's friend. However, Bai Jinbin's body trembled. Sickly tiger Qi Yu. He muttered to himself. When his niece, Bai Qianxue, heard it, her delicate body trembled, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. Li Chongqing's friend is actually sickly tiger Qi Yu. At this moment, Zhao Shimo, who was standing there, suddenly remembered that the young man who was rumored to have caused Yang Liuji to fall was backed by the heavenly king Su Xiaolin. And now, even Qi Yu had appeared. Just who was he? Not only Zhao Shimo, but even the young master of the Qing family, Qing Yu, was dumbfounded. Although the Qing family was powerful, it was nothing compared to the two famous mountains in the north. At this moment, Qi Yu's gaze was searching the crowd after he appeared. Everyone was trembling with fear. Bai Guangxiong even went forward to welcome him personally, but before he could get close, he was pushed aside by Qi Yu's subordinates arrogantly. Many people in the Bai family were angry that the head of the Bai family was treated in such a manner, but they did not dare to speak out. At this moment, under everyone's surprised gaze, Qi Yu walked directly to Li Changxing, bowed his head respectfully, and said, "Sir." The subordinates behind him also bowed in unison. "Greetings, sir." Their voices were loud and clear, like rolling thunder. Everyone present was completely dumbfounded. Bai Qianshui's close friends who were lucky enough to attend the banquet also felt that their minds were a little confused. Wasn't this Li Changxing a poor country bumpkin? This kind of person had always been the target of their disdain. How did he become a divine dragon in the sky in the blink of an eye? Bai Qianshui's friends weren't the only ones who couldn't accept it. Even young Master Cheng, who thought he could humiliate Li Changxing, couldn't accept it. He suddenly opened his mouth and pointed at Li Changxing, shouting, "Impossible, how can the sickly tiger Qi Yu be so young? It's obviously a lie. You adulterous couple wanted the support of the Bai family and asked him to come, right?" Adulterous couple. When these words were uttered, the crowd instantly quieted down. Sometimes jealousy can make people go crazy. When Cheng Yu said those words, he didn't even realize what he was doing. However, his words also reminded many people that the sickly tiger Qi Yu had been roaming the Jianghu for more than 30 years. How could he be just a young man? Are you really the one who hired him? Bai Qianshua looked at Li Changxing in confusion. What did you just say? I didn't hear you clearly. Li Changxing didn't answer Bai Qianshua's question. He only looked coldly at the Qing family's young master, who had a sense of superiority from the start. The surrounding people were all silent, waiting to see how things would develop. Old Master Bai laughed bitterly. How could he not wish that this was just a farce, and that it was a country bumpkin who had spent money to hire someone to come here? However, he had seen Qi Yu from afar and heard more than once from his friends in the circle that the sickly tiger Qi Yu had an ageless face. I said you're an adulterous couple. Don't you understand? Cheng Yu was already going crazy. Li Changxing suddenly laughed, revealing a mouth full of white teeth. You scolded me well. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a reason to attack you, the unlucky guy whose fiancée I stole. With that, without needing Li Changxing's instructions, Qi Yu stood up and walked towards Cheng Yu. What do you want? Cheng Yu, who was originally going crazy, saw Qi Yu walk over and instinctively felt a trace of fear in his heart. Everyone else's eyes followed Qi Yu's movements. Qi Yu looked at the guilty Qing family's young master and laughed. Then, he suddenly stretched out his hand and pulled the other party's hair down. Then, he ruthlessly kneed him 3 times. When he let go of his hand, Qi Yu's entire face was a bloody mess. There was no doubt that his nose would be broken by these few hits. Everyone's heartbeat quickened. The Qing family's young master, who was beaten until his face was blank, had a look of fear in his eyes. However, Qi Yu didn't intend to let him go. He picked up a chair beside him and smashed it directly on his head. Kacha! The solid wooden chair was directly smashed into pieces. The Qing family's young master clutched his head and screamed in pain. His body kept twitching and white foam came out of his mouth. Qi Yu sneered and said, "Kid, do you still think I am an impostor?" Zhao Shumo, who was next to him, was already trembling in fear. When Qi Yu turned around and looked at him, he was so scared that he fell to the ground. His pants were instantly soaked with yellow liquid, and he was so scared that he lost control of his bladder. What a piece of trash! Qi Yu snorted and turned around to walk back to Li Changxing. It took a full minute for the crowd, who had been frightened by the bloody scene, to react. A few of the women let out screams. Bai Qianshui's friends subconsciously kept their distance from Li Changxing. On the other side, the members of the Bai family could not bear to watch, and their faces were also filled with fear. Lord Bai, Didn't you say yesterday that the Bai family was a force I couldn't afford to offend? Now I would like to interview you. What do you think? Li Chongqing curled his finger at Bai Jiaxing. The current leader of the Bai family was a famous figure in the Chuzhou city. His body trembled in fear as he walked toward Li Chongqing. Since you are Bai Qianshua's relative, I will give you a chance to redeem yourself. Give up the position of the Bai family's lord to Bai Jinbin, and all the members of the main bloodline will go to retirement. If you agree, I will write off everything that happened today. If you don't, I will let you know what it feels like to have your family destroyed. After Li Chongqing said that, Bai Jiaxing's eyes turned red. Asking him to give up his position as the patriarch was worse than killing him. Looks like you don't want to do it. Qiyu, I will leave the rest to you. Yes, we do. Not far away, Bai Guangxiong suddenly said. Dad, Bai Jiaxing wanted to say something, but Bai Guangxiong shook his head and heaved a sigh. It's no use. The Bai family has offended someone we shouldn't have. We are lucky to be alive. Bai Jiaxing's body trembled after he heard the words. He thought of the rumors about the sickly tiger and lowered his head. I am willing to give up the position of the lord, and the main bloodline of the Bai family will not interfere with the Bai family's business. Very well. Li Chongqing nodded and looked at Qiyu. I will leave the rest to you. Then, he took Bai Qianshua's hand and walked out. After a while, Bai Qianshua couldn't help but ask, Li Chongqing, who are you? Even now, Bai Qianshua still felt like she was in a dream. She originally wanted to cut off all means of retreat, but she never thought that Li Chongqing, who she had always thought of as a poor boy, would suddenly become a lofty figure. I am your boyfriend. Li Chongqing smiled, then tilted his head and kissed Bai Qianshua's face, who was still in a daze. Bai Qianshua's body stiffened, but she wasn't angry at being kissed. Instead, her face turned red and her ears turned red. Chapter 128. After leaving the Bai house, Li Chongqing and Bai Qianshua took the car back to Bai Jinbin's villa. As soon as they entered the villa, they saw several figures inside. It was Bai Qianshua's aunt, Bai Roland, second uncle, second aunt, and her cousin, Bai Mingtang. Seeing Bai Qianshua enter, the people sitting on the sofa with a frown all stood up. But when they saw Li Chongqing beside Bai Qianshua, their eyes were filled with disgust. Today is the birthday banquet of the main branch's old master Bai. Didn't you go to congratulate him? Bai Roland was the first to ask. It's good that you didn't go to the birthday party. If the Bai family knew that you found another boyfriend, I don't know what would happen. It's just that you can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. If you're really determined to be with this person, then go abroad. The farther you go, the better. Hearing Bai Roland's words, Bai Qianshua was touched. Her parents died early and her aunt, Bai Roland, had always played the role of her mother. She suffered countless disdain in the Bai family. Fortunately, her aunt still loved her. I say, Roland, you're too selfish. If Qianshua escapes, then what will happen if the main branch comes to ask for her? Second aunt shouted loudly. Qianshua, you're too much. We thought you went to the old man's birthday banquet and took everything on yourself. It turns out that you didn't go at all. To think that we're still worried about you. Second aunt shook her head, her face full of sarcasm. I know my sister Qianshua's personality too well. It must be you, a coward, who didn't dare to go to the Bai family's banquet. Bai Mingtang pointed at Li Chongqing and said coldly, Last time you dared to slap my mother. Today I'll teach you a lesson. Bai Mingtang had been holding his breath for a long time. Now that he saw Li Chongqing, his eyes turned red. He waved his fist and rushed towards Li Chongqing. Stop! Bai Qianshua instantly stood between the two. Brother, don't mess around. Last time, Bai Qianshua had stopped Bai Mingtang from attacking Li Chongqing in the restaurant because she was afraid that Li Chongqing would be hurt. But this time, she knew how powerful Li Chongqing was. Although her cousin was in the sports team, if he fought with Li Chongqing, he would die miserably. Although her cousin's words were a bit harsh, he was still her family. Seeing Bai Qianxue standing in the middle, Bai Mingtang took back his fist angrily. He glared at Li Chongqing and shouted, "Boy, you only know how to hide behind a woman. You are a coward." Li Chongqing just smiled. "You should be glad that you have a good sister. Alright, stop messing around." At this time, Bai Qianxue's second uncle couldn't help but say, "What's the use of arguing at this time? Qianxue, listen to your aunt. Go abroad and hide." With that, he looked at Li Chongqing with some disdain and said, "I don't care what kind of magic potion you gave Qianxue, but I'm warning you, if you want to use Qianxue to plot my Bai family's property and become a phoenix, there's no way. When Qianxue goes abroad, I will give her a fixed amount of living expenses every month. As for you, you won't get a penny. I don't need Qianxue's money, and we don't need to hide abroad." Li Chongqing smiled, walked to the sofa, sat down and lit a cigarette. His behavior immediately caused everyone in the Bai family to frown. This boy is too arrogant. Bai Mingtang couldn't help but want to fight. At this time, the door was pushed open and Bai Jinbin strode in. "Brother, you're back?" Second uncle, second aunt, and Bai Ruolin all greeted Bai Jinbin. In their branch, Bai Jinbin was the most capable and had the most right to speak. "Uncle, this boy is as timid as a mouse and didn't dare to attend the birthday banquet. He's still here talking nonsense. He's too arrogant." Bai Mingtang was the first to complain. "That's right, brother. Last time you slapped Mingtang for this boy. But look at him, he's as timid as a mouse. How can he be worthy of Qianxue?" Second aunt also added fuel to the fire. Although Bai Ruolin didn't say anything, she obviously didn't like Li Chongqing either. Listening to the mother and daughter chattering in his ear, Bai Jinbin said loudly, "Enough, no one is allowed to be rude to Mr. Li." As soon as Bai Jinbin said this, everyone in the room was dumbfounded. What's going on? Last time, Bai Jinbin defended Li Chongqing because he saved the old man. But why this time? Looking at everyone's puzzled eyes, Bai Jinbin said, "Mr. Li not only attended the birthday banquet, but also hit young Master Qing in front of everyone. You said he's a coward. Which one of you can do it? Can you?" He looked at his nephew, Bai Mingtang. Bai Mingtang hurriedly shook his head. Second aunt, who was beside him, screamed. "What? Beat up the young master of the Qing family? This troublemaker beat up the young master of the Qing clan. Aren't we finished?" Bai Ruolin and her second brother also showed deep worry. "Young Master Qing isn't that easy to hit. Let me finish." Bai Jinbin continued. Not only did Chongqing hit young Master Qing, he also asked the main branch to give up the position of the head of the family. "From now on, I'm the head of the Bai family." When these words came out, everyone in the room was dumbfounded. What's going on? Chongqing is the Mr. Li who's been the talk of Qingzhou recently. Not only does he have a good relationship with Heavenly King Su Xiaolin, even sickly Tiger Qi Yu has to listen to Chongqing's orders. Therefore, the Qing family doesn't dare to offend Chongqing. Although Bai Jinbin's words were short, they were like a bolt of lightning thrown into a deep lake, shaking everyone to the point of dizziness. Sickly Tiger Qi Yu and Heavenly King Su Xiaolin had to listen to Li Chongqing's orders. This information was too much and too terrifying. Now, do you still think Chongqing is a coward and a troublemaker? When Bai Jinbin finished speaking, the room fell into silence. Bai Mingtang, second uncle, second aunt, and little aunt Bai Ruolin all looked at Li Chongqing in shock. They didn't dare to believe it, but when these words came from Bai Jinbin's mouth, they couldn't doubt it. "Do you still want to fight with me now?" Li Chongqing looked at Bai Mingtang with a playful expression. Bai Mingtang was so scared that his legs started to tremble. Second aunt hurried over to apologize. "Mr. Li, I'm sorry. All right, you are Qianxue's family, so I won't hold it against you. Now that the Chuzhou City thing is over, I will return to Qingzhou City in a couple of days. After all, I am still a student. I wonder if any of you can give me a ride when you return to Qingzhou City." Hearing Li Chongqing's words, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Bai Mingtang quickly raised his hand and said, "Brother-in-law, take my car. You can go back to Qingzhou City whenever you want. I will be your driver." Bai Qianxue blushed when she heard Bai Mingtang call her brother-in-law. Everyone in the room smiled as well. Chapter 129. Qing Yu, the young lord of the Qing family, had been beaten to a pulp at old Lord Bai's birthday banquet. When the news spread, everyone in the Chuzhou City was shocked. The Qing family was even more enraged. The atmosphere in the Qing family's main hall was tense. "He's gone too far. He stole my Qing clan's fiancé and even severely injured you. This Li Chongqing really doesn't put my Qing clan in his eyes." Old Lord Qing smashed the teacup on the floor. The Qing family's main hall was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. "Dad, I heard that Qi Yu is the sickly tiger. We can't afford to offend him." Qing, the lord of the Qing family, said with a bitter face. The Qing family had dominated the Chuzhou City for many years and had never been humiliated like this. Now that they had been beaten, they couldn't even think about revenge. The other members of the Qing family also lowered their heads. So what if he is the sickly tiger? If it was just because of Bai Qianxue, my Qing family would have tolerated it. But he beat up Yuer in front of so many people, causing my Qing family to lose face. If I continue to tolerate this, then my Qing family will become a laughingstock. And so what if he's the sickly tiger Qi Yu? He's just an ordinary person. Some time ago, I got to know an expert. That expert possesses remarkable abilities. As long as he's willing to help, even if it's the sickly tiger Qi Yu, we have nothing to fear. Hearing old Lord Cheng's words, many people in the main hall looked up. They didn't expect the old man to know such a powerful master. However, Qing wasn't as happy as the others. Instead, he asked worriedly, "Father, are you talking about Master Rongzhua?" "That's right." Old Lord Qing nodded. "Master Zhua is an immortal. Only he can avenge Yuer. But Master Zhua doesn't care about money. How can we ask him to help us?" Qing shook his head. "Although Master Zhua doesn't care about money, he loves antique. He might not be interested in ordinary antiques, but I am sure he will be interested in the Qing family's treasure." Hearing old Lord Cheng's words, everyone in the Qing family thought of something and their faces changed. "Father, are you talking about the Qing family's heirloom? That is something our ancestors left behind. How can we give it away so easily?" Qing said anxiously. "Those things are just dead objects in our hands. If we can use them to restore the Qing clan's reputation and avenge Yuer, then it's worth it. Not to mention, if we can take down Qi Yu, the sick tiger, the Qing clan's prestige will reach a peak. At that time, we can step out of Chuzhou City and realize the long-cherished wish of the Chu clan." At this moment, in a luxurious villa in Chuzhou City, two middle-aged men in Taoist robes were playing Go. If Li Chongqing was here, he would recognize that one of them was Master Lu, whom he had met in Qingzhou. Master Lu's name was Lu Chong, and he was the master of the Leisurely Cloud Monastery in Chuzhou City. Sitting across from him was his senior brother, Zhuodaorong. Zhuodaorong looked to be in his 40s. He was dressed in a white robe and had a sage-like demeanor. "Senior brother, I haven't seen you for many years. Your chess skills are getting better and better. I'm ashamed of my inferiority." Lu Chong held the white piece in his hand and thought for a long time before finally sighing. He had lost this game of chess. "Junior apprentice brother, chess is nothing more than a tool to pass the time. Transcendence energy is the foundation of a cultivator. After not seeing you for so many years, you're still lingering in the 5th layer of qi refining. What should I say to you?" Hearing Zhuodaorong's words, Lu Chong heaved a sigh. Senior brother, you know that my potential is limited. I'm afraid that I will be stuck at the qi refinement level for the rest of my life. I'm not like you, senior brother. Master once said that you could reach the connate spirit level before the age of 60. That is the dream of many cultivators. Lu Chong put away the chess pieces on the chessboard one by one and asked his disciple to make a pot of tea. Then, he asked, Senior brother, you have been traveling around the world for so many years. Why are you here in Chuzhou City? It can't be that he's here to visit me, right? Haha. I can't hide anything from you, junior brother. I am here in Chuzhou City to help someone with something. Hearing Zhuodaorong's words, Lu Chong's curiosity was piqued. Senior brother, you are as powerful as a divine dragon. Who could ask you to help? It's someone from the Qing family in Chuzhou City. That old man took out a treasure that had been passed down for generations. You know that I don't have many hobbies in my life, but I like to collect strange things. The treasure that the Qing family took out was indeed rare, so I agreed to help them. The Qing family? Lu Chong's face paled. Are you going to help the Qing family deal with a young man named Li? That's right. Zhuodaorong nodded. Junior brother, why do you look like that? Senior brother, didn't you ask around about that young man's background before you came to Chuzhou City? The head of the Qing clan said that sickly Tiger Qiyu was behind him. Although sickly Tiger Qiyu is one of the two great mountains in the north, he is still a mortal. Your senior brother is now a great expert in the 9th layer of qi refining. If sickly Tiger Qiyu watches with folded arms while I deal with that young man, I will kill him as well. Zhuodaorong said with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. Cultivators had a transcendent status, and they had all kinds of incredible divine powers. They naturally looked down on the so-called big shots of the mortal world. Senior brother, you only know one thing. Qi Yu is indeed Li Chongqing's man, but what you don't know is that Li Chongqing is not an ordinary young man. He is also a powerful cultivator. Is that so? Zhuodaorong's expression didn't change. So what? A young man in his 20s, even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, how far can he go? Looking at the proud Zhuodaorong, Lu Chong sighed and said, Senior brother, you don't know. I told you that I met an expert some time ago who easily broke my spell. Do you still remember? You mean that the person who broke your Dharma spell was this young man named Li Chongqing? Zhuodaorong's expression changed, but soon a cold smile appeared on his face. Junior brother, your strength is at the 5th level of qi refinement realm. If he can break your Dharma spell so easily, he should be between the 7th and 8th level of qi refinement realm. To have such strength at such a young age, he is indeed a genius. But don't forget, your senior brother is now at the 9th level of qi refinement realm. I am only half a step away from the 10th level of qi refinement realm. A wry smile appeared on Lu Chong's face. If that is the case, then I am not worried. But I suspect that Li Chongqing is at the 10th level of qi refinement realm. Impossible. Zhuodaorong interrupted Lu Chong. Chapter 130. There was a saying in ancient times, if you don't remove the roots, the weeds will grow again. Li Chongqing had planned to hitch a ride back to Qingzhou, but before he could leave, he received the news that the Qing family had hired a master to deal with him. At the same time, the entire Chuzhou city was shaken. No one had expected that the Qing family would dare to go against the infamous sickly Tiger Qiyu. That night, Zhuodaorong and his junior brother, Lu Chong, attended the Qing family's banquet. Many upper-class people in Chuzhou City witnessed Master Zhuo's divine power. He was able to create a hole in the cement wall from dozens of meters away. Everyone was shocked at the sight. It was as if he was an immortal. When the news spread, those who didn't think highly of the Qing family changed their minds. No matter how powerful the sickly Tiger Qiyu was in the secular world, He was just an ordinary person. Zhuodaorong, on the other hand, was an immortal. Everyone thought that Qi Yu would never be able to withstand Zhuodaorong's godlike attacks. As for Li Chongqing, who had Qi Yu's support, he was not even worth mentioning. In the Bai family's villa, everyone frowned. Li Chongqing was sitting on the sofa, eating an apple leisurely. "Mr. Li, what do you think about the Qing family hiring a master? Why don't you give Boss Qi a call and see what he can do?" Li Chongqing had asked Qi Yu to go back first because of the Bai family. He didn't expect that something like this would happen right after Qi Yu left. The Bai family didn't care about the Qing family hiring a master. After all, they had Qi Yu as their backer. However, after seeing Master Zhuo's divine power, they panicked. "No need. I don't care about Master Zhuo at all." Li Chongqing threw the apple core into the trash can. He wiped his mouth and said to Bai Jinbin, "Call the Qing family. Isn't their master very powerful? Tell them I want to meet him to settle our grudge." "No." Before Bai Jinbin could say anything, Bai Qianxue said anxiously, "I heard that Master Zhuo has divine power. Chongqing, although you are powerful, you have no chance of winning against him. It's like hitting a rock with an egg." "Yeah." Bai Jinbin and the others nodded in agreement, advising Li Chongqing not to be impulsive. Li Chongqing only smiled disdainfully. "He's just a Jianghu sorcerer. How can I put him in my eyes? I'll call him now. If you don't, I'll go back to Qingzhou. I'll let you face him by yourselves." Hearing Li Caixing's words, Bai Jinbin could only smile bitterly and nod. All right. Although he was not optimistic about Li Chongqing, there seemed to be no other way out now. He could only choose to believe in Li Chongqing. Zhuodaorong, who had originally planned to deal with Li Chongqing, heard that Li Chongqing wanted to meet him. He immediately ordered Li Chongqing to prepare 100 pre-Qin antiques as an apology. Otherwise, he would take Li Chongqing's life. In his opinion, Li Chongqing wanted to meet him because he was afraid. It was obvious that he was afraid. He could take advantage of this opportunity to extort money from him. Unexpectedly, as soon as he said that, Li Chongqing asked Bai Jinbin to pass on a message, telling him that there was no need to meet him and that he should wait for his death. When he heard the news, Zhuodaorong was furious. "Ignorant brat, I wanted to give him a way out, but he dared to speak so arrogantly. It seems that I have to twist his head off to let him know how powerful I am." Lu Chong, who was next to him, said worriedly, "Senior brother, he must have heard the news that you opened a hole in the cement wall at the banquet. However, he is still so strong. He must have something to rely on. We can't be careless. In my opinion, we don't have to fight to the death for an antique. I always feel uneasy. Junior brother, I haven't seen you for many years. Why are you getting more and more timid? I can kill a brat with a flick of my finger." Zhuodaorong snorted coldly. At this moment, with a loud bang, the villa's security door flew directly into the house. When the smoke and dust dissipated, a young man with a cigarette in his mouth walked into the villa very casually. He looked as if he had returned to his own home. "Who are you?" Zhuodaorong's pupils shrank and his face was cold. Although he didn't feel any mana fluctuations from the other party, but the other party's strength to kick the security door open with one kick was definitely not an ordinary person. "He is Li Chongqing." Master Lu, who was next to him, had a look of horror on his face. The scene of Li Chongqing casually breaking his spell last time left a deep impression on him. Even if his senior brother Zhuodaorong was next to him, he still felt a little afraid. "You are Li Chongqing?" Zhuodaorong sneered twice, and the momentum on his body rose. "I originally wanted to look for you, but I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. It seems like you're really tired of living." Zhuodaorong didn't take Li Chongqing seriously. As a Qi refinement level 9 cultivator, he had traveled across half of China over the years, and there were very few people who could be compared to him. Those who could be compared to him were all powerful cultivators who had been famous for a long time. Li Chongqing was so young that he didn't think he could be that powerful. "Kid, since you came to me, I will kill you first, and then I will kill that Qi Yu guy. I heard that you have a girlfriend called Bai Qianxue. I need a cauldron for my cultivation. I have gained a lot from this trip to Chuzhou City." It turned out that the Bai family and the Qing family had given Bai Qianxue's birth date to the Qing family. Zhuo Daorong accidentally saw Bai Qianxue's birth date from the Qing family and realized that she was born in the Yin year, Yin month, Yin day, Yin hour. This was the legendary pure Yin body, the best candidate for a cauldron. However, he didn't notice that after he said that, Li Chongqing's originally calm eyes flashed with a murderous intent. "How dare you have designs on Qianxue? It seems that I have no choice but to kill you." Li Chongqing snorted coldly and took a step forward. He waved his hand and suddenly, a surge of invisible qi rushed toward him. He came here this time to solve the problem in Chuzhou City once and for all. He also wanted to see the overall level of the Huaxia cultivation community. If the man knew his place, Li Chongqing might just give him some punishment and spare his life. However, since he dared to have designs on by Qianxue, he had to die. He waved his hand, and it was so powerful that the entire room was filled with a whistling sound. However, Zhuo Daorong didn't panic. Instead, he sneered. "Good. Chapter 131. Seeing Li Chongqing's palm strike, Zhuo Daorong sneered. Although he was a little surprised that Li Chongqing had such strength at such a young age, he was still very confident and didn't think that Li Chongqing had the strength to fight against him. Boom! Zhuo Daorong's robe fluttered even though there was no wind. An invisible momentum spread out as he raised his head and took a step forward. Voila! As soon as his foot landed, the tiles on the ground cracked like a spider web. At the same time, he put two fingers together and used them as a sword, suddenly stabbing forward. A thunderous sound was heard in the air. A cyan sword light burst out from his fingers. External release of true qi. At this moment, countless airflows gathered together and suddenly exploded near Li Chongqing's body. Peng Tiexin, who was sent by Su Xiaolin to listen to Li Chongqing's orders, was also at the Grandmaster realm. He could also release his internal force, but he could only cover his fist with the force of a few centimeters at most. It was far from being able to reach the extent of 3 feet and as sharp as a sword like Zhuo Daorong. This was the difference between a martial artist and a cultivator. Cultivators above the 8th level of qi refining stage were equivalent to the Grandmaster realm among martial artists. But in terms of combat effectiveness, cultivators at the early stage of qi refining stage were able to suppress martial artists. This was because although martial artists had strong physiques, they were often unable to get close to cultivators and were defeated by various magical powers and spells. Senior brother is only at the 9th level of qi refining realm, but I'm afraid that the 10th level of qi refining realm is no more than this. Lu Chong was originally afraid of Li Chongqing's strength and worried about his senior brother. But at this moment, he finally felt relieved. With such strength, it's no wonder that senior brother is so confident. Zhuo Daorong intended to show off in front of his junior brother, so he used his full strength in this attack. Using his finger as a sword, his killing intent overflowed, and it had the power to split gold and split stone. A smile appeared on his face as he waited for Li Chongqing's blood to spill on the spot under his sword qi. Sword qi danced in the air. Zhuo Daorong was like a peerless sword immortal, and the sound of the sword echoed in the room. In Lu Chong's eyes, Zhuo Daorong had the absolute advantage. On the contrary, although Li Chongqing's palm strike was extraordinarily powerful, it was still lacking when compared to Zhuo Daorong's sword qi. The 9th level of qi disciple is indeed extraordinary. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have any hope of reaching this level in my lifetime. Lu Chang's eyes were filled with envy. However, just when the two of them thought that the outcome was certain, Li Changxing's palm finally collided with the sword qi. Die. Zhuodaorong's true qi surged, and the sharpness of his sword qi increased by 3 feet. Then, the sword qi collided with Li Changxing's palm, but it only made Li Changxing's palm shrink slightly. Then, under Zhuodaorong's shocked gaze, Li Changxing's palm shattered the sword qi and directly imprinted on his chest. Puff! There was a loud bang. The true qi in Zhuodaorong's body instantly dissipated thousands of miles away, and his clothes dried up. Then, his entire body retreated 7 or 8 steps, and a clear palm print appeared on his chest. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood was mixed with fragments of his internal organs. He stared at Li Changxing with wide eyes, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. At this moment, Lu Chong, who was next to him, was completely stunned. His senior brother had broken through to the 9th level of Qi disciple, but he was still defeated so easily. Senior brother. Lu Chong reacted and hurriedly rushed to Zhuodaorong. Zhuodaorong's body swayed 3 times, and he opened his mouth, but he didn't say anything and directly fell to the ground. This expert of the 9th level of Qi disciple had completely lost his life. Senior brother. Lu Chong went over and hugged Zhuodaorong's body. Looking at his gradually slackening eyes, tears streamed down his face. He turned his head and looked at Li Changxing in horror. What? Do you want to avenge your senior brother? Li Changxing said lightly, but the calmness in his eyes made Lu Chong's heart palpitate with fear. He finally knew that he was right. Li Changxing was indeed a 10th level Qi disciple. Although he was close to his senior brother, he didn't have the courage to fight with Li Changxing. He knew that he would die if he tried. Senior brother, I am sorry that I can't avenge your death. Lu Chong thought to himself as a wry smile appeared on his face. How could I dare to seek revenge from you, sir? My senior brother was the one who didn't know the difference between life and death. You are much smarter than your senior brother. Li Changxing smiled and then reached out his hand to Lu Chong. Take it out. What do you mean? Lu Chong was confused. Of course it is the treasure that the Qing family gave your senior brother. I heard that the Qing family used a family heirloom to ask your senior brother for help. However, when I was fighting with your senior brother, I didn't sense any trace of the treasure on him. Zhuodaorong only knows you in Chuzhou City, so he must have given it to you. My senior brother has already lost his life for that treasure. Li Changxing, you killed my senior brother and now you want to take away the treasure. Isn't that a bit too much? Lu Chang's face changed color. The fear disappeared from his face and was replaced by a vicious expression. If you want to take that treasure for yourself, just say it. Why do you have to be so hypocritical? Just now, when your senior brother was fighting with me, you clearly could have helped, but you just watched coldly from the side. Only after your senior brother died did you shed 2 drops of fake tears. Such good acting skills. It's a pity you're not an actress. Li Changxing shook his head. His eyes were sharp and perceptive, so how could he be fooled by Lu Chang's act? Take it out, or you will end up like your senior brother. Li Changxing, you've gone too far. Lu Chong suddenly stood up and waved his hand. A green jade gourd appeared in his hand. The gourd was crystal clear and very beautiful, but Li Changxing could feel a powerful energy from it. As Lu Chong activated the spell, a green light shot out from the gourd and enveloped Li Changxing. This gourd was the treasure that the Qing family gave to Zhuodaorong. It was a magic item. Magic items were very precious in the cultivation world. Each one of them required countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to be successfully refined. Most importantly, only Xiantian realm experts could refine them. However, the power of a magic item was also ridiculously powerful. A Qi-refining realm cultivator could even fight against a Xiantian realm expert with the help of a magic item. Lu Chong believed that with this magic item, even a 10th level Qi-refining realm cultivator would be defeated by the attack of this gourd. This was also the reason why he watched his senior brother die in Li Chongqing's hands and didn't help him. The temptation of a magic item was too great, so great that it could make him completely heartless. "You think you can kill me just because you have a magic item? What a joke." Li Chongqing just smiled faintly. Over the endless years, he had destroyed hundreds of magic tools with his bare hands, not to mention that this was just a broken magic tool. Chapter 132. Dharma artifacts were weapons refined by cultivators to increase their attack power, just like the sabers, spears, and staffs in the hands of martial artists. However, Dharma artifacts had more functions than ordinary weapons and stronger attack power. Dharma artifacts were divided into many levels, including low-level, mid-level, and high-level Dharma artifacts. Above Dharma artifacts were spirit artifacts, bejeweled artifacts, Tao artifacts, and supreme artifacts. In addition, Dharma artifacts were also divided into various attributes and functions. Some were offensive, some were defensive, some were used to store objects, some were used to refine elixirs, and there were all kinds of them. For example, the Jasper Gourd that appeared at this moment was a low-level offensive spatial Dharma artifact. Although it was defective, its power was not to be underestimated. It was enough to cause great damage to cultivators in the Qi refinement realm. Even those in the 10th level of Qi refinement realm couldn't block it. However, Lu Chong didn't know that although Li Chongqing's current strength was equivalent to the 10th level of Qi refinement realm, his physical body was not inferior to that of a finger-profound realm expert. After all, Li Chongqing had been reborn 99 times. Every time he was reborn, his physical body was strengthened. Although he had just awakened and his strength had only recovered a little, the strength of his physical body was absolutely terrifying. Hula! The light in the gourd had a huge, sharp force and was about to tear Li Chongqing's body apart. However, Li Chongqing didn't even have the intention to block the powerful force and let it attack him. Hula! A huge hole was directly torn in the custom-made suit. However, the green light only left a faint white mark on Li Chongqing's body before dissipating in the air. How could this be? The smug expression on Lu Chong's face instantly stiffened. He had already seen the power of this Jasper Gourd. It could even cut a tank in half in an instant. However, Li Chongqing was unscathed. Lu Chong's eyes were filled with horror. In an instant, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His heart was filled with horror. Even an early-stage Khanate realm expert couldn't block the attack of this Jasper Gourd. "How could you block it?" Lu Chong said in a trembling voice. "Go to hell and ask the King of Hell." Li Chongqing couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He directly waved his hand and slapped out. "No. I don't believe it." Lu Chong activated the Jasper Gourd again. However, the result was still the same. He was unable to harm Li Chongqing at all. "Die!" Li Chongqing's palm fell and directly slapped down on Lu Chong's head. If this palm hit its target, Lu Chong would die on the spot just like his senior brother. "Mister, please spare my life. I'll give you my treasures in exchange for my life." At the moment of life and death, Lu Chong hurriedly shouted. Li Chongqing's palm stopped less than 5 centimeters away from Lu Chong's forehead. Lu Chong was so scared that his face was pale, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. "What treasure?" Li Chongqing asked coldly. "If you dare to play any more tricks, I'll make you beg for death." "I definitely won't dare to play any tricks." Lu Chong tremblingly took out a piece of paper from his arms. "This is a page of scripture that my master found in a nameless cave when he was young. It recorded a set of mysterious martial arts. Unfortunately, My master couldn't comprehend it after studying it for a lifetime. Later, it was passed to me. I'm not talented enough to comprehend the cultivation method on it. Perhaps it will be useful to Mr. So you gave it to me because you couldn't comprehend it. Li Chongqing sneered and reached out to take the page of scripture. After a few glances, his eyes shone brightly. No wonder Lu Chong and his disciple couldn't comprehend it. It was because the words recorded in the scripture were tadpole language. Tadpole language was a very ancient language that had been lost for a long time. Li Chongqing had studied all kinds of things in the endless years. He just happened to know this tadpole language. Seal of mountains and rivers. This scripture recorded an offensive sacred art called the Seal of Mountains and Rivers. After mastering it, every palm strike would be able to mobilize the power of mountains. It was very powerful. This should be a page of a secret manual that was torn out by someone. Just this page is already so terrifying. If I can obtain the entire secret manual. Even Li Chongqing's heart was burning with excitement. Where did your grandmaster find these scriptures? Bring me to that cave, and I will spare your worthless life. Yes, yes. Lu Chong quickly nodded. As long as Mr. can spare my life, I will do anything. Humph. Li Chongqing snorted and waved his hand to snatch the gourd from Lu Chong's hand. The moves in the scripture might be powerful, but they still needed time to comprehend them. This gourd was also very interesting to Li Chongqing. It was a magic artifact that combined spatial attacks. The refinement method wasn't ordinary. Even a Vajra realm martial expert couldn't use the spatial laws. It meant that this magic artifact might be the work of a finger mystic realm martial expert or even higher. It was a pity that it was broken. Li Chongqing picked up the gourd and studied it for a while. He realized that the gourd had lost most of its functions except for the green light attack. It is a pity that a magic artifact is so broken. If it was complete, it might be a spirit artifact or even a cosmic artifact. Li Chongqing kept the gourd. Lu Chong's eyes were burning with excitement, but he knew that a magic artifact might be good, but his life was more important. Let's go. Follow me to the Qing clan first. Then, bring me to the cave where the scripture was found. Yes. Lu Chong nodded and didn't dare to disobey. At the same time, he silently mourned for the Qing clan. After offending such a killing god, the Qing clan wouldn't have a good ending. Chuzhou City, Qing clan's mansion. The Qing clan was on the same level as the Bai clan in Chuzhou City. They had a large garden in the southern district of Chuzhou City that was built like a palace. This was where the Qing clan's headquarters was located. At the same time, the Qing clan gathered in the main hall of the Qing clan. Old man Qing Hui, the current family lord Qing Qing, young master Qing Yu, and a group of elders of the Qing clan. Qing Yu's face was wrapped in gauze and he sat in a wheelchair. His eyes were filled with hatred. He looked to old man Qing Hui and asked, "Grandpa, can that Master Zhuo really take care of Li Chongqing? I want to tear him into pieces." Old man Qing chuckled. "Don't worry. Master Zhuo is a man with Dharma spells. Not only Li Chongqing, but also Qi Yu, the sickly tiger, will wipe him off the face of the earth. After this battle, the Qing clan will be famous in the north." Everyone in the Qing clan was excited. "Old Master, you're a wise strategist. Although we've lost a family heirloom this time, our Qing family's reputation has been pushed to the peak. Li Chongqing is just an ant. More importantly, Qi Yu the sickly tiger. Although Master Zhuo has agreed to help us kill Qi Yu's Grand Desert Group still has many powerful subordinates. We need a detailed plan." Qi Yu the sickly tiger would never have thought that he would fall at the hands of the Qing clan. The elders of the Qing clan were all smug. Old man Qing Hui was even more elated. "Right, Master Zhuo should have started by now. I was worried that Master Zhuo would let Li Chongqing go because of the treasure. I didn't expect that the kid would be so reckless as to say that he would take Master Zhuo's head. He has completely enraged Master Zhuo. You can forgive a sin from heaven, but you can't forgive a sin from your own doing. Old man Ching laughed. It should be about time. I will call Master Zhuo now. Ching Ching replied immediately. Okay, call him now. I can't wait. Although old man Cheng's hair was white, his face was glowing as if he had become much younger. He had always wanted the Qing clan to step out of the Chuzhou city and become a superpower like Su Xiaolin and Qi Yu. However, he had never been able to achieve his dream. Now that Qi Yu was gone, the Qing clan's prestige would rise, and he finally had hope. Qing Qing had already dialed the number, but no one answered. Just as he was about to call again, he heard a loud boom and the glass window of the mansion shattered. The mansion was made of 6 layers of bulletproof glass, but it was so fragile. Who is it? Everyone in the house was shocked. They turned around and saw Lu Chong standing in the yard. It was obvious that he was the one who had done the deed. Master Lu, what is going on? Old man Ching asked in confusion. Master Lu was Master Zhuo's junior. Why would he do such a thing at the Qing clan? However, right after that, his voice paused because behind Master Lu, a young man in a suit was slowly walking over with his hands in his pockets. Chapter 133. Li Chongxing, he is Li Chongxing. Qing Yu's eyes flashed with hatred. Hearing this, everyone in the Qing family was shocked. Master Lu, why are you with this man? A bad premonition arose in Qing Hui's heart. Where is Master Zhuo? He promised to help my Qing clan get rid of Li Chongxing. Could it be that he cheated my Qing clan of their treasures and turned his gun on my Qing clan? Old Master Qing was very angry and asked loudly. I've already sent the Master Zhuo you speak of to the King of Hell. Li Chongxing smiled faintly and walked towards the Qing clan. What? Everyone in the Chen family gasped when they heard this. In their eyes, Zhuo Daorong was like an immortal. How could he die so easily? Mr. Li is so powerful that ordinary people like you can't imagine. Now that I have joined Mr. Li, I will give you a dignified death. Kill yourselves. Lu Chong said coldly. He knew very well that he was playing the role of Li Chongxing's henchman, so he didn't need Li Chongxing's order. At this time, the bodyguards of the Qing family heard the noise and rushed toward Li Chongxing with weapons in their hands. These bodyguards were professionally trained and hired by the Qing family with a high salary. Each of them had extraordinary skills, especially the electric batons and daggers in their hands. They all rushed toward Li Chongxing. How dare you attack Mr. Li? You are courting death. Before Li Chongxing could do anything, Lu Chong took a step forward and waved his sleeve. Suddenly, a gust of wind rose from the ground and sent the bodyguards flying. Lu Chong's strength was not worth mentioning in front of Li Chongxing, but Master Lu was like an immortal in the eyes of ordinary people. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen bodyguards were all sent flying by Lu Chong. Everyone in the Qing family was shocked. They had already seen how powerful Zhuo Daorong was, but they still had a little hope. Now they were completely desperate. This was the legendary immortal. How could they resist? Even old Master Qing Hui was unable to maintain his composure. I don't believe it. No matter how powerful he is, he can still block bullet. The head of the family, Qing Hui, took out a pistol from his bosom and pulled the trigger at Lu Chong. Bang! The bullets spat out tongues of flame as they flew over quickly. Lu Chong only sneered at this and slapped his palm forward. The bullet was so fast that he was able to judge its trajectory and hit it with his palm. What was even more shocking was that he was able to catch the powerful bullet with just 2 fingers. How is that possible? This is completely beyond common sense. Everyone from the Qing family was dumbstruck. The impact of Lu Chong's move was too great. Lu Chong's senior brother, Zhuo Daorong, was even stronger than Lu Chong, but he died at the hands of Li Chongxing. Just how terrifying was this young man? the hearts of the Qing family members fell to the bottom of the valley. Master Lu was already so powerful, and there was also the even more unfathomable Li Chongqing, causing them to fall into despair. It's time. Old Master Qing threw the teacup on the table to the ground and then heard a loud bang. A huge rocket launcher bombarded the direction of Li Chongqing and Lu Chong. The moment the rocket launcher sounded, everyone covered their ears and fell to the ground. This was the Qing family's strongest defense. I don't believe that the rocket launcher can't kill you. Old Master Qing thought bitterly in his heart. He knew very well that even people like Swadarong were still made of flesh and blood. The weapons of the human world could still threaten them. Otherwise, the world would be in chaos. In fact, his guess was right. The moment the rocket launcher sounded, Lu Chong's face turned pale. Even his senior brother, Swadarong, who was at the 9th level of Qi refinement realm, couldn't resist the power of the rocket launcher. It's over. I didn't expect the Qing family to have such a trick up their sleeve. Just when Lu Chong was regretting, Li Chongqing snorted coldly. Insignificant skill. He took a step forward and raised his fist to meet the incoming rocket launcher. His fist carried a sonic boom in the air, like a dragon coming out of its cave. Under the incredulous eyes of the Qing family, he directly hit the rocket launcher. Bang! A loud bang. The rocket launcher hit Li Chongqing's fist and suddenly exploded. And Li Chongqing's whole body was wrapped in burning flames. Is he dead? Everyone in the Qing family raised their heads and stared at the courtyard. Lu Chong was hit by the powerful blast and flew out horizontally. Fortunately, Li Chongqing blocked all the power, so he only felt a little stuffy and was not injured. How dare you come to my Qing family and behave so atrociously? No matter what kind of immortal you are, you will still die. Old Master Qing smiled proudly. He didn't believe that anyone could withstand the power of the rocket launcher with a flesh and blood body. Everyone in the Qing family also looked happy. However, Old Master Qing's laughter had yet to fade away when he saw a figure standing quietly in the courtyard after the smoke cleared the sky. Aside from his somewhat messy clothes, his calm face and the sneer in his eyes made everyone in the Qing family shudder. I didn't expect that your Qing family even prepared such a powerful weapon like the rocket launcher. Any ordinary cultivator, even a Xiantian realm expert, would have fallen into your trap. It's a pity that you've encountered me, Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing let out a faint smile and patted the dust off his body. Then, he looked back at the direction where the rocket launcher came from. It was a building similar to a turret, where a handsome man was carrying a cannon on his shoulder. The smile on his face had already frozen. When Li Chongqing's eyes landed on him, he turned around and fled down the turret. Li Chongqing just snorted coldly and ordered Lu Chong, "Deal with him for me." Understood. Lu Chong was also shocked just now. Only now did he react, and his body turned into an afterimage as he flew toward the turret. A few seconds later, the handsome man who had just run down the stairs had a smile on his face when Lu Chong rushed over and smashed his skull, causing him to fall to the ground with his head raised. At this time, Li Chongqing didn't look at the turret and walked toward the Qing family. With each step he took, his aura skyrocketed. When he walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, everyone in the Qing family felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them, making it hard for them to breathe. Old Master Qing, who had already stood up, fell to his knees with a plop. The rest of the Qing family wanted to straighten their backs, but they couldn't and could only crawl on the ground. It's time to end everything. When Li Chongqing's last step fell, it was as though an earth-shattering earthquake. Boom! The entire Qing family mansion collapsed as if it had been hit by a magnitude 18 earthquake. All the Qing family members were buried under the rubble. None of them survived. The Chuzhou City News reported. In October of 2014, the Qing family's mansion suddenly collapsed due to lack of maintenance. A total of 18 core members of the Qing family were killed. The news caused an uproar. Chapter 134. While the upper-class circle of Chuzhou City was filled with news about the Qing family, Li Chongqing and Lu Chong had already embarked on a trip to Miaojiang. That page of scripture was obtained by Lu Chong's master in an ancient cave in the depths of the 100,000 mountains of Miaojiang. It was said that the cave was full of danger. There were a total of 3 people who explored the cave with Lu Chong's master. In the end, only Lu Chong's master was lucky enough to escape, and the others died inside. When Lu Chong's master mentioned the past to Lu Chong, he still had a lingering fear, saying that he was lucky to be able to come out. On the plane to Miaojiang, Li Chongqing narrowed his eyes slightly, and Master Lu Chong next to him introduced the situation of Miaojiang in a low voice. There are many strange things in the 100,000 mountains, and it is covered with dense forests everywhere. It is difficult to distinguish between things. Even if there is a map left by my master, I am afraid it will be difficult for us to find that ancient cave. Then what should we do? Li Chongqing looked up at Lu Chong. There should be a way, right? Lu Chong smiled bitterly. Along the way, he had seen that although Li Chongqing looked young, nothing could be hidden from him. Yes, we can't tell the direction and can't find the route, but the local people can find it. There was a local chief who explored the cave with my master. Although he died inside, my master had never lost contact with them when he was alive. A few years ago, I also went to Miaojiang with my master. As long as we ask the local people to help lead the way, coupled with the map left by my master, we will definitely be able to find that ancient cave. That's it, just ask them to lead the way, Li Chongqing said lightly. It's not that simple. Although my master has some friendship with that branch, the friendship has been very weak after so many years. It may not be so smooth to ask them to help lead the way. The local people are eccentric, especially xenophobic. There are many secrets in the depths of the 100,000 mountains. They don't welcome outsiders to enter, especially when their chief and my master explored together, but they died inside. I'm afraid it will be difficult to ask them to send someone to lead the way. There will always be a way, and they are not the only village in Miaojiang, right? Li Chongqing, on the other hand, was not worried. At worst, he could just use force and grab a random person to lead the way. Lu Chong opened his mouth and guessed the meaning behind Li Chongqing's words, but in the end, he did not say anything. This method was not impossible, but it was extremely easy to anger the local Miao people, and by then it was likely to lead to a disaster. In Lu Chong's opinion, although Li Chongqing was an expert at the 10th level of qi refinement, as far as he knew, there were Khanate powerhouses in Miaodi. The plane landed in a city on the outskirts of Miaojiang. Li Chongqing and Master Lu rented another off-road vehicle and drove to the Shi clan that Master Lu mentioned. Cars could only drive to the outer regions at most, and the inner regions could only be entered on foot. In the dense forest, the trees covered the sky and the sun, giving off a tranquil and mysterious atmosphere. Li Chongqing and Master Lu are both masters of magic, so there is nothing to fear. It's just that on the way they often see all kinds of poisonous creatures. There are poisonous snakes that are exactly the same color as the surrounding environment, and there are also unknown poisonous insects. If ordinary people were to be in such a place, it would be difficult to move. The ground was covered with dense leaves, and a footprint would appear when they stepped on it. It was loose and soft, as if they were stepping on a carpet. Sometimes there are some poisonous insects hidden under the leaves. Lu Chong led the way and said as he walked, "We can reach the Shi clan after walking for more than 10 miles, but they are very xenophobic. A few years ago, when my master and I came here, it was my master who successfully entered the village with a token, and that token has long been taken away by my senior brother. I don't know where it is now. I'm afraid we will have to explain it when the time comes." Lu Chong, who was talking, suddenly stopped. Li Chongqing's face also showed a bit of seriousness. As the two of them stopped, a rustling sound came from the surrounding grass, and then more than 10 figures suddenly appeared. Each of them was wearing animal skins, barefoot, and their faces were painted with colorful colors, like uncivilized savages. We seemed to be surrounded. Lu Chong turned his head and said to Li Chongqing. At this time, this group of savages had already surrounded them vigilantly. My name is Lu Chong, and I'm friends with the third elder of the Shi clan, Lu Chong explained. But this group of savages didn't seem to understand what he said at all, and just pointed their weapons at the two of them. Don't these people speak Chinese? Li Chongqing asked. Master Lu smiled bitterly. This place is isolated from the outside world, and they have no contact with the outside world since they were young. Of course, they don't speak Chinese. Only the higher-ups know it. It seems that we have to fight, Li Chongqing said. Lu Chong hurriedly waved his hand. No, these people are very vengeful. If you hurt them, even with my master's friendship, I'm afraid they won't help to lead the way. Then what should we do? Li Chongqing was speechless. How dare you, outsider? You actually want to attack my clansmen? A woman's voice sounded. In the depths of the trees, a young girl wearing cotton clothes and silver ornaments on her head walked out accompanied by several Miao people. The woman was young, about 15 or 16 years old. She was quite fair, with bright eyes and white teeth, which was very different from these uncivilized savages. Master Lu's face lit up. She should be one of their higher-ups. Miss, my name is Lu Chong, and I know your third elder. Lu Chong introduced to the woman excitedly. Unexpectedly, the woman just glanced at him coldly. She didn't believe him. Your second elder is called Guo Xiaolong. I met him a few years ago, and we hit it off at first sight. Hearing Lu Chong's words, the coldness on the woman's face faded a little. Are you Miss Azu? Lu Chong suddenly remembered something. A few years ago, when I came to the Shi clan with my master, you were still a little girl. Sure enough, hearing Lu Chong's words, the woman waved her hand behind her, and her subordinates put away their weapons. A few years ago, there was indeed an outsider who came to visit us. I remember now. The woman nodded, but she didn't show any kindness. Instead, she looked at Li Chongqing behind Lu Chong. Just now, he said that he was going to attack my people. Master Lu, you can go in, but he has malicious intentions towards my people, so we don't welcome him. Lu Chong had a troubled look on his face. Li Chongqing sneered and took a step forward. I have something important to discuss with your elders. I'm going up whether you welcome me or not. After that, he strode forward. The woman's eyes suddenly turned cold. She muttered a few words to the people behind her, and they immediately raised their weapons again. At the same time, several figures jumped down from the branches. A large green net fell from the sky and enveloped Li Chongqing. Chapter 135. As the large net fell, the young girl sneered. This abominable outsider! I clearly heard him say that he wanted to lay his hands on my tribesmen, so I have to teach him a lesson. However, just as her smile rose, it froze on her face. In the face of the large net falling from the sky, Li Chongqing just took a step forward and stretched out his palm to the front. Then, the sturdy large net that could trap tigers and leopards was torn from the middle by the force of the palm and scattered to the ground. It was broken by Li Chongqing so easily. How is this possible? The young girl widened her eyes. However, in the next moment, her vision blurred and a figure appeared in front of her with a finger on her jade-like neck. Little girl, I came here with great sincerity. If you continue to be so rude, don't blame me for being ruthless. Li Chongqing smiled faintly. The surrounding Miao people raised their weapons and looked nervously at Li Chongqing, afraid that Li Chongqing would hurt their second Miss Aju. Aju looked at Li Chongqing, who was close at hand, and swallowed her saliva subconsciously. Just as she was about to say something threatening, she saw that Li Chongqing had already retracted his finger from her neck and looked at her faintly. Zhu could not help but blush. She knew that she had met an expert and said, "All right, I'm sorry for being rude." After that, he mumbled something to his subordinates behind him, and they all put away their weapons. "Since you know the third elder, then you are an important guest of the Shi clan. Please." Zhu gestured for them to go ahead. Li Chongqing and Lu Chong nodded and took the lead. The group of Miao people behind them also moved and stared at Li Chongqing and Lu Chong. In view of Li Chongqing almost hurting their miss, their hostility towards Li Chongqing did not disappear. Azu, who was following behind Li Chongqing, patted her chest, which was beginning to take shape with lingering fear. At that moment, when Li Chongqing's finger was on her neck, she felt as if she was facing the Grim Reaper. This guy is so young, but he's really terrifying. But since he's so powerful, if I can ask him for help, then there's hope for that matter. Under the guidance of Azuna, Li Chongqing and a group of people from the Shi clan passed through the dense forest. The road in front of them became more and more rugged. After a while of turning left and right, the road suddenly opened up. The trees gradually became sparse, and a small stream appeared in front of them. The water of the stream sparkled and reflected the sunlight, making it look like a dream. On the other side of the stream, an ancient village appeared before Li Chongqing's eyes. The scenery is so beautiful. Even Li Chongqing couldn't help but sigh. No wonder the people here didn't want to get close to the outside world. In such a quiet place, the arrival of outsiders would break their original track. However, Lu Chong, who was next to him, smiled bitterly when he saw Li Chongqing's expression. It was exactly the same feeling he had when he first came here with his master. It was only when he really came in contact with the people living in the mountains that he realized that perhaps everything was not as beautiful as it seemed. Thanks to Azuna's guidance, they smoothly entered the Shi clan village. The two were invited into the hall, and Azuna sent someone to report. Soon, an old man in his 60s came out. After seeing Lu Chong, he laughed and said, "It's really Master Lu." The third elder of the Shi clan village was called Guo Xiaolong. He was the one who received Lu Chong and his master when they came here a few years ago. When he saw Li Chongqing next to Lu Chong, he wondered, "Master Lu, is this your disciple?" Lu Chong hurriedly shook his head. "I'm not qualified. This is Mr. Li. He's a cultivator with real strength. His ability is much better than mine." "What?" The third elder, Guo Xiaolong, was surprised. He could not help but look at Li Chongqing curiously. He was very clear about Master Lu's strength, but now Lu Chong said that the young man in front of him was stronger than him. At this time, Azuna next to him whispered something in his ear. The third elder's eyes became brighter and brighter. He looked at Li Chongqing more and more enthusiastically. "My name is Li Chongqing. Nice to meet you." Li Chongqing stretched out his hand to the third elder. The third elder was stunned. Then, he cupped his fists and bowed to Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing could not help but be a little stunned. Only then did he know that although the third elder seemed to have some communication with the outside world, it should still be a long time ago. He did not know such a foreign greeting as shaking hands. "It's really a place isolated from the world." Li Chongqing sighed. "Mr. Li has such great strength at such a young age. You are really a young hero." Our second lady said that since Mr. Li could tear our specially made big net in one move, you must have a cultivation no weaker than the 5th level of Qi refining realm. Mr. Li is a master of the 10th level of Qi refining realm. Lu Chong next to him explained. The third elder's eyes became brighter. "Third elder, this time Mr. Li and I are here to explore the ancient cave again. We don't know the way, so we need someone from the Shi village to be our guide." Lu Chong went straight to the point. The third elder hesitated. Back then, the head of the Shi village personally went to be a guide for Lu Chong's master, but he never came back. The people of the Shi village were naturally afraid of that place. "This time we only need your people to take us to that place, and then we can leave." There won't be any danger. Lu Chong hurriedly explained. I see. The third elder nodded. It's okay to send someone to be a guide, but, the third elder, Guo Xiaolong, looked embarrassed. But what? Third elder, if you have something to say, just say it. Lu Chong could see that the third elder seemed to have something to hide. Here's the thing. There's a village called the Hemp Village on the only way to enter the 100,000 mountains. Some time ago they had several conflicts with us because of a piece of land. If you want to enter the depths of the 100,000 mountains, you have to go through the Hemp Village. If our people lead you into the mountains, they will definitely intercept you halfway. Originally, the people of the Sure Village were not afraid of them, but the Hemp Village recently invited an expert with terrifying strength. So, Li Chongqing finally understood that the Sure Village had encountered a strong enemy. It's okay. As long as your Sure Village is willing to send someone to guide us, I'll help you deal with the Hemp Village. Li Chongqing suddenly said. The third elder was overjoyed. Okay, Mr. Li, I'll arrange for your accommodation. We'll set off tomorrow and go to the depths of the 100,000 mountains. The second Miss Azu also looked happy. She muttered, the people of the Hemp Village injured many of our people several times. This time, if they dare to intercept us, we'll let them know that the Sure Village is not to be trifled with. Chapter 136. The third elder and Azu left after arranging a place for Li Chongqing and Lu Chong. Obviously, they still had a lot of things to discuss, and it was inconvenient to let Li Chongqing and Lu Chong know about it. Because it was still early, Li Chongqing and Lu Chong wandered around. The scenery here was excellent and the air was fresh. Li Chongqing found that the spiritual qi in the depths of the mountain was much richer than outside. Perhaps it was because the third elder had told him that although the people in the village were not friendly to Li Chongqing and Lu Chong, at least no one came to make trouble for them. Mr. Li, there are many dangers in the cave residence. My master once said that even the masters of the primordial realm are in danger of dying in there. Lu Chong looked at the place where the ancient cave residence was located tomorrow and his face was full of worry. Are you afraid that you will be in danger? Li Chongqing smiled slightly. Don't worry. With me by your side, you won't die. And if it's not necessary, you don't have to enter the cave residence. Just wait for me outside. Really? Lu Chong finally showed joy on his face. Well, you can go shopping by yourself. I'm going to practice. Li Chongqing sent Lu Chong away, then took out the page and began to study it. It recorded a cultivation method called the Seal of Mountains and Rivers. To be precise, it was a kind of offensive skill. Just as Li Chongqing was pondering this cultivation method and entering a good state, a very arrogant voice suddenly came in. I heard that a young master has come. Where is he? A young man broke into Li Chongqing's courtyard. He was a man of 25 or 26 years old, dressed in miao clothes, with a machete at his waist. He had a hooked nose, sharp eyes, and an unruly look. Are you that master? After seeing Li Chongqing, he asked coldly. At this time, the third elder, Guo Xiaolong, and the second Miss Azu also came in. Young master, don't be rude to Mr. Li. The third elder said anxiously. Yes, elder brother, this master is a real person. Azu also said hurriedly. At the same time, Lu Chong also rushed over after hearing the news. Many of the people in the stockade heard the commotion and gathered around. What bullshit, Grandmaster! Third elder, little sister, you must have been deceived by him. Look at his weak appearance, I'm afraid a gust of wind would blow him away. How could he possibly help us deal with the people from the Hemp Corp's stronghold? Li Chongqing was in the middle of comprehending the cultivation method when he was interrupted. He immediately felt displeased and frowned slightly. Seeing this young master being so rude, he immediately said coldly, Who let you in? The young man was stunned when he heard that. Then, he laughed and said, "This is my Sher clan village. It's my family's territory. I can go wherever I want. As for you, you're an outsider. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of the Sher clan village. Otherwise, I'll beat you up until your parents can't recognize you. I'm a guest invited by your Sher clan village. This courtyard was also arranged for me by your people. Although it's only my temporary residence, it now belongs to me. You broke in without notice and don't know the rules at all. It seems that you don't need my help to deal with the Hemp Corp's stronghold." Hearing Li Changxing's words, the young man suddenly became angry and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? How dare an outsider put on an act in front of me? Slap him 10 times. After that, the young man took a step forward and raised his hand to slap Li Changxing's face. The young man's strength was obviously not ordinary. As soon as he made his move, there was a sonic boom in the air. He suddenly attacked and slapped Li Changxing in the face. He was arrogant and overbearing, which made many people present change their expressions. "Young master, you can't." The third elder stopped him loudly. However, the young man didn't listen at all. "Third elder, you've been deceived by this man. Watch me show him his true form." The young man's move was so fast that even the third elder couldn't stop him in time. His palm had already fallen. Li Changxing's eyes were cold. When the palm was about to reach his cheek, he suddenly stretched out his left hand and grabbed the young man's wrist, causing the young man's palm to be fixed in the air. The young man looked proud when he saw that he was about to hit Li Changxing. However, he didn't expect that his wrist would be caught. At the same time, a piercing pain came from his arm, and he let out a miserable cry. "Boy, you're courting death." His face twisted in pain, and he waved his other hand to attack Li Changxing. Li Changxing just sneered and suddenly exerted force. With a crack, the young man's wrist was instantly crushed. At the same time, he raised his other arm to block the young man's attack. He lifted his foot and kicked the young man's lower abdomen. Suddenly, the young man's body flew backward. But because Li Changxing grabbed his wrist, his body, which had just flown up, was pulled back and fell to the ground. Li Changxing lifted his foot and stepped on his back. No matter how hard the young man struggled, he couldn't break free. A ferocious and angry expression appeared on his face. Li Changxing kicked his cheek again. The young man spun on the ground like a top and flew a few meters away. He crashed into a big tree in the courtyard, causing countless leaves to fall from the tree. "Mr. Li, please have mercy." Just as the third elder wanted to say something, Li Changxing took a step forward and went under the big tree. He then lifted his foot and stomped on the young man's head. "Tsk." He stomped on the young man 7 or 8 times and scolded, "Who told you to be arrogant and domineering? Who told you to barge into my place without permission? Who told you to disturb my cultivation?" The young man covered his head. His cheeks were covered with blood. He growled, but unfortunately, several of his teeth were kicked out. He couldn't speak a complete sentence at all. He was very miserable. The people around were dumbfounded. This was the young master of the Sher village, the son of the village leader. He had always been arrogant and domineering. Even the elders had a headache because of him. Now, he was being pressed to the ground and kicked in the face. It was too crazy. Although Big Brother is usually arrogant, he is a martial artist at the peak of clear strength. How could he be beaten so badly? The young girl, Aju, muttered to herself. The third elder was completely stunned. He didn't know what to do. The people of the Sher village were counting on Li Changxing to help them deal with the enemies of the Hemp Corp's village. However, the other side was their young master. Save the young master. At this time, the people next to him reacted. More than 30 people drew their weapons and rushed to Li Changxing. These people would side with their relatives instead of reason. No matter who was right or wrong, when they saw their young master being beaten, Of course they would help him. Looking at the group of people rushing up, the third elder sighed. He knew that his plan to deal with the hemp corpse competition was completely ruined. At this time, a few more figures rushed over. The leader was a middle-aged man. He looked very dignified. He walked like a dragon and a tiger, with the aura of a superior. Behind him, a cold and elegant woman followed closely. She was somewhat similar to Aju. In addition, there were 7 or 8 strong men. Among them, a handsome young man was the most eye-catching. The other people had Miaodao on their waists, but he was the only one holding a long sword. "Village leader, you're back?" As soon as he saw the middle-aged man, the third elder's face lit up. When the others saw the middle-aged man, they also came over to salute him. The young man, whose face was covered in blood from Li Chongqing's beating, whimpered as tears streamed down his face. "What's going on?" Before the middle-aged man could speak, the woman next to him had a sullen face. "Brother, who beat you up like this?" Chapter 137. It's that young man who injured young master. Third elder smiled bitterly. He knew that with this young lady's temper, she would definitely not let the matter rest after seeing her brother being beaten up. Sure enough, after hearing third elder's words, the cold-looking lady drew her Miaodao and was about to settle the score with Li Chongqing, but she was scolded by the middle-aged man next to her. "Zhu Hong, don't be impulsive." Then, he looked at third elder. "Is this the young master you were talking about? You asked him to deal with the people from Hemp Corpse Village?" "That's right." Third elder nodded. The middle-aged man frowned. "Third elder, you're getting more and more muddle-headed as you age. How can a young man be a match for the sorcerer from Hemp Corpse Village?" At this moment, more than 30 people had already surrounded Li Chongqing. Although these people were fierce and wild, how could they be a match for Li Chongqing? Li Chongqing had just learned the seal of mountains and rivers and wanted to test it out, so he restrained his strength and used these people as training dummies to fight with them. He can't even deal with a few subordinates from our Shi family village. "What master? I think you've been deceived, third elder." Zhu Hong's eyes were filled with contempt. At this moment, a subordinate had already gone over to help the young master up. "Your brother is at the peak of the inner realm, but he beat him up like this. This means that he's hiding his strength." The middle-aged man, Dao Yu, said coldly. "But in my opinion, even if he uses all his strength, he's at most at the 7th level of Qi refinement. How can he defeat the sorcerer from Hemp Corpse Village with such strength?" This, third elder opened his mouth but did not know what to say. The reason he thought Li Chongqing was very powerful was because he heard from Lu Chong and the second young lady, Zhu Hong. He had never seen this Mr. Li Chongqing's strength. Lu Chong and Li Chongqing were in cahoots, so it was very likely that they had deliberately exaggerated Li Chongqing's strength. As for Zhu Hong, she was a little girl and had never seen the sorcerer's strength. When she saw that Li Chongqing could break the big net, she thought that Li Chongqing could deal with the sorcerer. Thinking of this, his face was suddenly filled with shame. "Chief, I was careless." At this time, the girl Zhu interrupted. "Father, sister, Mr. Li is really powerful. He tore a hole in the big net we specially made to catch tigers and leopards with just one palm. And his palm did not touch the big net from the beginning to the end. He was several feet away from the big net. I'm afraid that even our most powerful brother Long Jiu can't do that." However, after hearing Azu's words, the middle-aged man just smiled and shook his head. "Zhu Na, you're too young to understand. Sometimes, when the speed reaches a certain level, it will cause people to hallucinate. Father can also release his internal qi. He can also use his external qi to tear apart a specially made net from a few feet away. Unless he's a 10th layer qi refining cultivator, but how is that possible? He's clearly only 20 years old. Yes, second miss, You must have been bewitched by his speed. The man with the long sword also said. His name was Long Jiu, and he was the #1 expert of the younger generation in the Shi family village. His strength was second only to the village head, Audiobook. This Aju's face was also filled with doubt. Thinking of the scene at that time, her memory was indeed a little fuzzy. Maybe it's just as father said. I saw it wrong. At this time, Li Chongqing finally lost his patience. He knocked down all the more than 30 people who rushed up to him, and then looked at the middle-aged man, Dao Yu, and the others who appeared later. You're that Mr. Li? The middle-aged man looked coldly at Li Chongqing. No matter how good a person's temper was, seeing his son beaten to a pulp, he would not be happy, not to mention that Dao Yu was originally a ruthless person. That's right, who are you? Li Chongqing's voice was equally cold. He kindly agreed to help them deal with the hemp corpse village. They both got what they needed. It was fine that they did not thank him, but suddenly a young man came in and made him unhappy. Now, this middle-aged man spoke in a superior tone, which made him unhappy. I'm Dao Yu, the chief of the Shi clan village. You hurt my son and so many of my people. Do you know your crime? I didn't do anything wrong. Li Chongqing smiled coldly. Your son offended me first. I just helped you to teach him a lesson. I haven't asked you for an explanation, but you're asking me about my crime first. Lu Chong, who was next to him, saw that things were going bad. He hurriedly stood up and said, Chief Dao Yu, I'm Lu Chong. I came to the Shi clan village with my master a few years ago. Have you forgotten me? So it's Master Lu. Dao Yu nodded and said, Since Master Lu brought this person here, I'll give you face and let him cripple one of his arms. Then, he'll be a slave in the Shi clan village for 3 years. Then, I'll forgive him for hurting my son today. Lu Chong had an awkward expression on his face. He knew Li Chongqing's temper. If the people of the Shi clan village persuaded Li Chongqing nicely, Li Chongqing might forgive their offense. But now, their overbearing attitude might anger Li Chongqing. Sure enough, as soon as Dao Yu finished speaking, Li Chongqing chuckled. Ha! You want me to cripple one of my arms and be a slave for 3 years? Do you think you're worthy? I didn't want to argue with barbarians like you, but since you have such an attitude, I'll settle the offense with you. Who are you calling a barbarian? The cold-faced woman, Zhu Hong, stood up and was about to attack Li Chongqing. Miss, let me do it. The hook-nosed young man stepped forward and unsheathed the long sword in his hand. In an instant, a murderous aura spread from his body. The temperature in the courtyard seemed to drop a lot. The peak of covert power. The moment the young man stepped forward, the cold-faced woman's eyes showed some surprise. The middle-aged man's face showed a gratified smile. Long Jiu is worthy of being the #1 master of the younger generation in the Shi clan village. He has reached the peak of covert power at such a young age. As long as he is patient, he will be able to step into the supreme power realm in 10 years. By then, the Shi clan village will have 2 supreme power realm masters. The strength of the Shi clan village's Long Jiu was ranked second. The first was the village leader, Dao Yu, who was the middle-aged man himself. He was a supreme power realm martial artist, which was equivalent to the 9th level of Qi refining realm. No wonder he could judge that Li Chongqing was at the 7th level of Qi refining realm but still had a superior attitude. Mr. Li. Lu Chong looked at Li Chongqing cautiously. Third Elder, I was kind enough to help you deal with the hemp corpse village. I didn't expect you to treat your guests like this. Li Chongqing snorted coldly. The third elder's face suddenly showed a complicated expression. Indeed, it was he who told Li Chongqing about the difficulties the Shi clan village was facing, and Li Chongqing said he was willing to help. If it wasn't for his young master being rude and unreasonable, things wouldn't have developed to this point. But in the end, Li Chongqing was just an outsider, and he also suspected that Li Chongqing was not as mysterious as Master Lu said. After hesitating for a moment, his face finally became firm. Mr. Li, of course I am grateful that you are willing to help the Shi family village. However, you cannot use this gratitude to do whatever you want and hurt the young master of the Shi family village. I am sorry, as the third elder of the Shi family village, I have no choice but to be your enemy. The middle-aged man heard the third elder's words and nodded satisfactorily. Although Guo Xiaolong is a little muddle-headed and has been deceived, but he can wake up in time. He is a good elder of the Shi clan village. After that, he nodded to the young man next to him. Long Jiu took a step forward and said loudly, "Boy, I will give you two choices. 1. Break your arm and be a slave for 3 years. 2. Die under my sword." Chapter 138. Don't you think you're noisy? If you want to fight, then fight. Stop talking nonsense. They thought that Li Chongqing would be scared after knowing Long Jiu's strength, but they didn't expect Li Chongqing to be so strong and not show any signs of weakness. Shi family village master Audiobook sneered. This young man is still pretending at this time, but he doesn't know that his attitude will only anger Long Jiu. Brother Long Jiu will definitely beat him until he kneels and begs for mercy. Although Miss Ah Zhuhong's face was cold, but when she looked at Long Jiu, there was a rare trace of gentleness and admiration. Boy, since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being ruthless. As soon as Long Jiu finished his words, he suddenly took a step forward. The long sword in his hand turned into a silver light and pierced towards Li Chongqing's throat like lightning. It was a killing move. What a powerful swordsmanship! Even Lu Chang's face turned pale with fright. His opponent was young, but his cultivation was stronger than him. On the other hand, Daoyu and the others looked pleased with themselves. Long Jiu was the pride of their Shi family village. Is that Mr. Li really like what father said? His martial arts strength is ordinary? Ah Zhuhong's eyes were filled with doubt. I don't know if this Li Chongqing can take a blow from brother Long Jiu? The third elder shook his head. Indeed, even an expert like Long Jiu couldn't deal with the mage of the magical corpse village. It was ridiculous that he believed Lu Chang's words and let such a young man fight with the mage. Go to hell. Long Jiu's eyes were cold, and with a stab of his sword, he was sure to win. Because his sword was less than half a meter away from Li Chongqing, and Li Chongqing was still standing there in a daze, as if he was scared silly. This young man will definitely die. Ah Zhuhong sneered. She knew Long Jiu's strength best, and this young man was obviously scared silly and didn't know how to fight back. However, just as the crowd was not optimistic about Li Chongqing's chances, they saw Li Chongqing slowly raise his hand when the sword light was about to pierce his throat. He extended 2 fingers, and then the extremely sharp sword was firmly caught between his 2 fingers. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened. How could this be? Long Jiu was even more shocked. He wanted to pull the sword back, but found that it was as if the sword was embedded in Li Chongqing's hand. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move it. You dare to use your sword against me with such little strength? Li Chongqing laughed coldly. Then, with a gentle flick of his finger, the treasured sword made of refined steel broke apart layer by layer. Then, he gently slapped his palm forward. Bang! Long Jiu didn't even have time to react. He was hit in the chest and flew out. When he landed on the ground, his chest was caved in and he coughed out blood. Too weak. Li Chongqing shook his head and didn't bother to look at Long Jiu, who had landed on the ground. It was as casual as flicking away a mosquito. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Long Jiu was a martial artist who had achieved great success in covert power and was the second master of the Shi clan. Yet, he couldn't even withstand a single blow. Brother Long Jiu. Ah Zhuhong directly rushed to the place where Long Jiu fell. The third elder looked at Li Chongqing in disbelief. It seems that you really have hidden your strength. Taking a deep breath, Dao Yu took a step forward. I'd like to see what you're capable of. Master. The third elder and the others showed a worried look. Recalling what Lu Chong had told him, Li Changxing had already reached the 10th layer of the Qi refining realm. There was already a huge gap between a martial artist of the Grandmaster realm and a cultivator of the Dao refining realm. Moreover, Dao Yu's strength was only equivalent to the 9th layer of the Qi refining realm. How could he be Li Changxing's opponent? Lu Chong didn't have any expression on his face. He had already guessed this. His senior brother Zhuo Daorong, who was at the 9th level of Qi refining realm, couldn't withstand a single blow from Li Changxing. How could a mere Long Jiu be a match for him? You don't deserve to fight with me, Li Changxing said lightly. Everyone in the Shi clan was furious. He was simply ignoring them. However, Li Changxing had the right to be arrogant. Although everyone present was angry, they didn't think he was arrogant. Even Dao Yu himself showed a wry smile. If it weren't for the fact that his son and his capable subordinates were seriously injured, he wouldn't want to provoke such a person. I still want to see what you're capable of. Dao Yu took a deep breath and took another step forward. I told you, you're no match for me. Li Changxing snorted coldly. His clothes fluttered without any wind and a powerful aura instantly crushed down on Dao Yu. Pucci. Dao Yu was a master of the Grandmaster realm, but he felt a tremor in his heart. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes were filled with horror. Soul attack. The so-called soul attack was when a person's mental strength reached a level where it could be used as an attack. It could pierce into the opponent's mind and directly attack the opponent's soul attack. However, cultivating mental strength required a special secret method, and it was extremely dangerous. Dao Yu had only heard of the existence of such a method, but he didn't expect to see it today. The so-called mental strength could also be called willpower. Li Changxing had lived for countless years and had awakened from sleep countless times. His mental strength had long reached a terrifying level. Even if he didn't deliberately cultivate, the aura he released at this moment was not something a Grandmaster realm martial artist could withstand. Li Changxing didn't do anything, but Dao Yu spat out blood. Everyone present looked at Li Changxing as if they had seen a ghost. Lu Chong seemed to have guessed something and his eyes were filled with horror. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I admit defeat. Dao Yu smiled bitterly and didn't even have the thought of resisting. I was kind enough to help you deal with the hemp village, but you were unreasonable. You even wanted to break my arm and imprison me as a servant. This is unforgivable. I, Li Changxing, am a man of clear distinction between kindness and hatred. In this case, I will also break your arm and your legs as punishment. Li Changxing's words made everyone in the Shi village look sad and indignant. As for the chief of the village, Dao Yu, his face was filled with despair. With one of his arms crippled, even if he was a martial arts grandmaster, his power would be greatly reduced. The battles in the Miaojiang region were extremely bloody. Without a grandmaster like him, the Shi family village would soon be annexed by other forces. Sir, please have mercy. The third elder suddenly knelt on the ground and stood in front of Dao Yu. Get out of here. Li Changxing waved his hand and the third elder suddenly flew out and hit the wall next to him, spitting blood. Back then, third elder had also wanted to kill him. Li Changxing was already being merciful by not killing him. Sir, please let my father go. I am willing to be your servant, slave, or maid. The girl Zhu Na also knelt on the ground and begged. On the other side, her cold sister Zhu Na's red face was no longer cold and arrogant, but only sadness and fear. Mr. Li, even Lu Chong spoke. Back then, the people of the Shi clan accompanied my master to explore the ancient cavern. In the end, both the chief and the deputy chief died. Our lineage owes the Shi clan a favor. I beg Mr. to be magnanimous and let them go. I, Lu Chong, Am willing to follow Mr. and be at your beck and call. Hearing Lu Chang's words and looking at Azu, who was kneeling on the ground with tears in her eyes, Li Chongqing finally sighed and waved his hand. Forget it. In that case, I'll spare you this time. As he spoke, he looked at Zhu Na kneeling there. I don't need you to be my slave or maid. Tomorrow, you will be my guide and take me to find the ancient cave residence. Consider it atonement for your father. Yes. When Zhu Na heard Li Chongqing say to let her father go, her tears turned into laughter. The third elder and the others showed a complicated expression. No one expected Li Chongqing to be so powerful. If he had persisted and persuaded Dao Yu to change his mind, then with Li Chongqing's help, he would not have to be afraid of the people of the Hemp Corpse village. Not only him but Dao Yu also regretted it, but there was no medicine for regret in the world. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.